Welcome back to Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Join us as we venture year-round into the fog.
Make sure you give us a like and a follow on your podcast platform of choice. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube page where we upload every episode in its video format, and maybe a few other surprises as well.
Make sure you're following us on social media to keep up to date with our newest haunted content.
I'm Nick.
I'm Seamus.
I'm Jamie.
Let's just start this episode by saying you're welcome. You were all so incredibly welcome for planning a 3-part episode which forced Universal to make announcements and throw us off of our game. Had we not made these pre-planned episodes, I don't think announcements would have come. We would still be here waiting on whatever the day is, March 27th, with nothing. However, we do have announcements. There are houses, there are icons, there's themes, there's even costumes. And wouldn't you know it, as of this morning, there was tickets and RIP tours and premium scream nights and express and unmasking and so much to cover.
All kinds of junk.
And we're not covering any of it tonight. We are sticking to the formula. I want to make sure that this is like a 3-part trilogy. This thing comes out in time. I don't want to push this into next week because then it's not even March Madness. Then it's April at that point. So
yeah, that's no fun.
Apologies if you're not going to hear all of our thoughts on the recent news and all that stuff, but we wanted to make sure we got this episode out of the way. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about with the announcements. We couldn't smash the two together. We're looking at like a 4-hour episode at that point. So I didn't think, and we all kind of agreed, there was no point in double dipping too much. So that's all we're going to really say about the announcements. Jamie was at MegaCon. I'm sure if you follow us on social media, you see all the coverage that she did there. And yeah, I mean, we're excited, obviously, but that's for another day, I think. I think the people really want to see how this March Madness 50 house ultimate list pans out, and we don't want to make you wait any longer. We have our top 16 tonight, going 16 through 1. Last week, we left off on a tiebreaker. The house that got 17th place, Goblin's Feast, was tied with the house that gets 16th place. We haven't announced what that one is yet, but that's what we're going to be starting with. I do have beers, but nothing special. I'm still just like killing these Bud Lights in the fridge. I have been ridiculously busy this last couple of weeks and am going to continue to be so the foreseeable future. So hey, I am taking these drinks.
With these gas prices, you better be drinking cheap beer. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm drinking a Bloody Mary tonight.
Yeah.
I am. With my zombie straw. For those who are
too bad
on
this
YouTube.
isn't I don't know. My brain is in a billion places right now. But
We had to work this morning.
I need this beer. I've worked a lot of mornings, and I have a continued multiple amount of mornings in my future, whether that's video, photo, or work. So cheers to that.
Woo.
Tastes so good when it hits your lips. Alrighty. Let's, I think, just dive into it, right?
Yeah, might as well. We're about to battle. I'm just saying.
I know.
I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
We had some comments about like, I can't believe you listed this before this. Oh, don't you all worry. Don't you all worry. Because we're about to battle.
It's coming.
It's about to get
These
bloody
are
tonight.
going to be very divisive houses, I think.
It's the most divisive of all three. Like, and that's no joke. Like, you look at the list, like for the first 2 episodes, and we're all relatively kind of like in the same ballpark for the most part. It's about to get
Yeah. A couple of these are not in anybody's ballpark. These are in the other leagues. So we might as well just rip this Band-Aid off. Let's get there.
Let's just get going.
Number 16.
Because this one's gonna hurt her heart pretty badly.
Like I said,
There's one house that I'm surprised to still have made it this far, and I'm very curious if it's going to be this number. I kind of have a feeling it is. We'll see.
No, it's not this one.
No.
It's you. It's not this one.
It's something that I don't think you guys are thinking of, so maybe I'm good for a little bit. Okay, Nick, get on with it. Sorry.
we'll see. So number 16, this was ranked higher in the tie because somebody had ranked this house higher than the previous house. That's how we kind of deal with the tiebreakers in this instance.
This one had the highest rank out of the 6, I think is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, yes. So let's just get into it. Number 16, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Not what I was thinking. All right.
Jamie ranked this at number 4.
Top 5. That's our first top 5 of the
Top
night.
five.
Of the episode.
Yeah.
Top 5. That is
Whee!
why this went over and got the win on top of Goblin's Feast, because the highest rank that had received was a 12 from
Yeah.
me. Seamus, you put this as a top 10 house. This is
I
number
did.
10 for you.
Yep, this was a top 10 house for me
Wow.
out of the 50.
Yay.
Really was.
Jamie, do you want to
Really
guess what
was.
number I put this thing
I was
at?
going to say, why do you think this is at 16?
I was just going to say, I can't believe I made it this far, honestly. 47.
Wow, you're actually
Wow,
giving me some
all right.
credit.
Yes,
I
you
put
give
this
him-
at 39.
39. All right, not bad, actually.
People are going to be mad that this house is this high. I
Do
think.
you think so?
I think that, yes. I think, I'm
I
even
don't
surprised
know.
for, like, I know you loved this house, Seamus. I'm surprised this is a top 10er for you.
It is. It really was.
Beat for
And, I mean,
beat-
there's reasons why.
Beat for beat, it was like you were walking through the movie. That opening scene
Yeah.
sold me. It's the best puppetry and best animatronic work they've done, thanks to Jim Henson's Creature Shop for helping out on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though it lacked
argue that.
even though it lacked in scare actors, the animatronics and puppets made up for it, honestly, because I just feel like it was so good. And if you think about it, if you're going,
Right.
I mean, we're basing it off the movie, but if you're going back to the lore of the video games too, I mean, you're playing in like a first person. There's really no characters in it besides whatever character you're playing against or whatever. So for what the house
Yep.
was set out to do, I think it did really well, and I think the wait times reflected it.
I agree, and I think wait times is a good conversation piece because I felt that this was. I think any house would have problem hitting the value point on this kind of wait. Even our number 1 houses, I think if they were the Five Nights at Freddy's wait times, I would probably still say that's not value. This house was at capacity. Most stay and screams, if you rolled up to the event at whatever 5 o'clock or whatever, that line was already cut off. This thing was a monster for wait times. Maybe that affected it. I also am pretty famously on this podcast for really not liking animatronics and especially being the primary focus of a house. I mean, for this property in particular, it makes sense because they are animatronics. So like I can't argue that they didn't need to be animatronics, but it was extremely animatronic heavy, which again, so is the property. So I can't like hold it against it, but I still don't love it. Not a fan of the property as well, so that hurts it for me. Scenically, I thought that some of those scenes were amazing, like that first intro scene, like the first 2, right? Because I count the facade kind of as that first scene, that walking up to the entrance of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, really cool with the sound and the music, and then going into seeing Freddy and the gang on the stage, that was really cool. But after that, it was very like what it's supposed to be, right? It's like the security guard, the night room's room. You got like the not the cafeteria, but the kitchen. You had some of like the back room where the like costuming stuff is. Like it just felt meh for me. And just having a couple little puppet arms reaching out every now and then didn't sell me on it. So yeah, I put this pretty low on my list. I am still surprised it managed to wiggle its way into this number, the last episode with the top 16, the top third.
Me too.
I'm not really surprised by Jamie's. I thought Seamus, you'd have it in that 15 to 20 range,
Yeah,
but I'm not
I mean,
far off.
I feel like maybe it should have been, only in the sense that, like, based on everything you've said, you're right. I mean, I also famously don't like puppets as much. I mean, I don't think I have as much of an aversion to it that you do, but I mean, I still feel like there's a thing about it where it kind of feels phoned in. But for this house, I think what you said is exactly why I liked it, because it's supposed to be like that's the whole idea. I feel like if this house was nothing but a bunch of people in costumes, it would have felt cheap.
Yeah.
So I think having Jim Henson be involved, having his company be involved, and being able to do the puppetry obviously helped. And to me, that first, like Jamie said, that first scene when you first walk into the pizza restaurant, like I think the first night we did it was Premium Scream night.
Yeah.
And the first time we walked in, it's playing the they're playing this. I forget the song, but you're playing the song.
Smile on Smile in Your Sleep is Silverstein.
Whatever.
Talk in Your Sleep.
Yeah. Whatever the song is. Either way, the point is that I think the fact that it nailed exactly what I and the two of you were kind of saying, that's what this house should do, is we should be walking up past the fence. You see the big neon sign, you walk into the restaurant and they're playing, and then like they get all sinister. It's exactly what they did. I think just that first scene alone was enough to really, like, for me, shoot it up the rankings, just because it's so memorable. Like, I'll never forget that opening scene. And I know famously I hate the movie. Like, I hate the movie.
Really?
I despise the movie. But the fact that, like, I just like the house so much, because I think for me, like, of all IPs, this is one of the few IPs that truly lends itself to some sort of in real life horror attraction where you can actually feel like you're a part of the movie.
Yeah. Now I'm curious if this had any sway on your ranking. Because you brought Colin, your son, he loves Five Nights, and he obviously was like enamored by this.
Yeah,
does that maybe boost it a little bit?
Maybe a little bit.
Not a lot, but
I don't think it was enough, because I was trolling him like the whole year leading up to it, where I'm like, this house is gonna suck, dude. You know that, right? It's gonna be the worst house I've ever been through.
Hate to break it to you, Colin.
And but I mean, I went through it the first time and I was like, oh, I was wrong. Holy shit, this house was good. I mean, you're right. I think the lines really did make it rough, but I feel like the house was good enough that it, for me, kind of beat some of the wait. And I guess we kind of got lucky. I mean, a lot of the times that I did it, I didn't have to wait in the full line. I think one night I waited in the full line. Other than that, it was, we either knew someone that got us in with their pass, or we used Jamie's pass. I mean, so we got lucky, I think, in most of the times that we did it. But I mean, it was, again, maybe 10's a little too high. Maybe I jumped the gun just a little bit, but I don't think I did.
Don't take it back. You did. It's okay.
No, I don't think I did.
No, take it back. Let's put this back into last week's episode. Or shit, even 2 weeks episode.
Trust me, I got houses in the list tonight that are really going to piss Jamie off. I know that much.
Great.
Yeah, I think this is one that people are going to be surprised cracked it into the top 16 of the last 5 years.
Based on what we're talking, how we talk, and how we talk leading up to it, yeah, I totally can imagine that.
But let it be known, I did my damnedest to put this thing down at the bottom.
Yeah, you did.
But Jamie, number 4 for you. That's speaking volumes to your list and how you like certain properties.
It does. Thank you.
I don't know if that's a good one. Okay. Let's get to number 15. And this was also a tie with number 14. This lost the tiebreaker by one ranking.
Say barely.
A single rank. And I saved the one above it. So you can thank me when we get to that. It was a battle with Seamus. But alas, at number 15, I think this is going to surprise and possibly upset some people as well.
Definitely going to surprise some listeners, I think.
This is Dolls, Let's Play Dead.
Did I?
This was ranked 7th by Seamus, which means the house we'll talk about next, I ranked 6th. But I had this at 29. So I had this a lot lower as well. Now, Jamie, you had it 14, so you kind of split the difference between us. But Seamus, why don't you just remind the lovely Fear and Beer family your love affair with Dolls Let's Play Dead from last year?
Top 10.
Yeah, I mean, again, Dolls for me is just, it was that good. And I think, obviously it was one of the ones we did a ton. Like, I feel like I did that house like every night I went, and obviously that leaves a little bit of a mark. But it was also one of those houses that I didn't feel like I was forcing myself to do every night. Like, if I do a house every single time I go, it's because I like the house. And there were nights where we waited in quite a bit of line for this. I mean, it wasn't like every night was a walk on. I mean, there were nights where we stood in line for 45 minutes. And, every time I went through it, I always had a good time every single time. And it's one of those like kind of fun, kind of wacky, but still really scary houses that just truly goes right up my alley. And plus, I'm also one of those that I love and hate scary, freaky dolls, and this house was kind of all of that. So, I mean, again, I know it's kind of crazy, but just based on everything we've talked about so far, this house is just so much better than a lot of the other houses that we've done.
I wish I had a time machine to go back to somewhere in July and tell Seamus that in March, we're going to do a top 50 list, and Five Nights at Freddy's and Dolls Let's Play Dead are going to be in your top 10 of the last 5 years, and see what Seamus would have said to me at that point. Jamie,
that's funny.
Number 14. So this is still high. This is, yes, you had this at 14.
I had it at 14, yeah.
So it's still pretty high. I guess I'll say my piece after because you're kind of splitting the difference. But this is still the same episode that you had this plotted for. It's actually one spot off of what you had it because it landed at 15 and you had it at 14. So you had it pretty accurate to where the average ended up being. Yep. What do you remember to make this a top 15 house for you?
Well, I mean, when this house got announced, I was already pretty excited about it too, because as Seamus said, I love the whole creepy doll aesthetic. And for this being like a doll house kind of style house with, how did I already forget her name? Oh my God, I'm blanking out right now. Lila, thank you. And it's Lila's demented toys and her creations, and she's playing with them through the house. I just thought it was a really, really cool concept, and I thought the way it was executed was very fun. I feel like not often do we get those bright, kind of colorful, I guess you could kind of say whimsical, scary kind of haunted houses at HHN. I mean, we don't really do the 3D houses anymore or anything, and that was kind of our bright neon fluorescence, but I just thought it was an overall really great idea for a house, and I liked the way that they portrayed it. I really enjoyed all the big kind of set pieces to make you feel smaller. I feel like one of the funnest rooms for that whole house was like the easy bake oven room. Ding, it would go off when you would walk through it, and then all the coils in the room would light up. There was a lot of fun interactive buttons and the guest activated triggers in the house that we didn't get too much last year. So overall, I know we've seen kind of stuff like the dolls, the other Dolls House that we've had in the past at HHN.
Dollhouse
of the Damned. Thank you. I almost said Dolls Let's Play Dead, and I'm like, that's the house we're talking about.
That's
the house we're talking about. But I know we've had these houses in the past too, but I'm glad they kind of took a different route and gave Lila her own story and kind of made this an original, but its own original idea.
Yeah, I had this at 29.
That's still
a
not
lot
bad.
Lower. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not great. I think what hurt it for me a lot was the scare design in the house. I think that was a point that I hit home pretty well in the season and our overall rankings. But it was very samey. It was very much so they're in front of you, they're not moving, and then when you get close, they just like shake or like, and it's like, okay. Like a couple of those is nice when they're done well, but it was a little too repetitive for me. The designs were really fun. The rooms were very wacky. I love the smells. I love the guest activated triggers. There was stuff that I really only noticed towards the end of the season, and I don't know if I had just like missed it or if they had not added them until towards the end of the season, like the person with the fork in the electrical socket. Like I just can't know if that was something that happened the whole year and I just happened to maybe hit a certain cast that didn't have that part. But it did seem like they were still kind of making changes and adding to it, because in my head, maybe they thought the same thing I was thinking, like we need a little variety in the house. Yeah. Even some of the really cool stuff, like that thing with like the multiple baby heads. It was like just kind of like a he would just like come out and like shuffle like a crab in front of you, like woo, boo, 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 boo. And then it was like it went away. I was like, oh come on, like that's such a cool design. Like there has to have been a better way to introduce us to that character with a little bit of a scare factor. But again, based off of the idea of the house and the look of the house, it wasn't intentionally going to be a scary house. Now, every house should have some scares, but there are different degrees of houses. And for me, I feel like it didn't go fun enough for it to be the fun house. It was kind of just like just floating around in the middle for me. So, and that's kind of where it landed, right around that 29 mark. And that's slightly above average, or slightly below average, 25 being the middle. But yeah, that's where Dolls Let's Play Dead was. And who knows, maybe if Dolls Let's Play Dead was at HHN 32 or 31, maybe it would have fallen down, or maybe it would have raised up. I don't know. It's really tough to say how recency bias plays into these
I'm sure
rankings,
there was
but
a little bit of it. I mean, I can't imagine that didn't play somewhat of a role, at least for me. I mean,
yeah,
people are gonna be like, I can't believe you thought the house was that good. I'm like, I mean, and remember, for me, it's like it's less about the scare and more about just how it, how it all comes together. I think really for me, because again, like I anticipate all the scares, so like I don't get the same effect that everyone else does. So for me, it's more how enthralling is the story, how well can you draw me into the world that's being created, and how clever all of the design is. So that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah, it's kind of like figuring out what kind of house this is supposed to be and how well was it that kind of house.
Right.
Yeah, like this wasn't, like we said, this wasn't supposed to be the scary house. It wasn't, but that's not the point of what this house was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Number 14, like I said, this was tied with Dolls Let's Play Dead. However, I ranked this house at number 6, and I don't know why this was not ranked higher. I know why.
I know
Jamie
why.
was why. Darkest Deal ended up at number 14. It's a goddamn travesty.
What did
I had this at 6. Seamus had it at 12. That's respectable. Jamie, 32.
32. I thought that was like, I don't know. I guess when I think of like halvesies for numbers, like big numbers, I'm like, oh, 30 is like right in the middle of 50. But I'm like, no, that would have been 25.
Shouldn't be an average
sorry,
house.
Darkest Deal. I know. I honestly kind of forgot how low I put that one. Now that you said it, I was like, Darkest Deal. And I'm scrolling and I'm like, damn, I did have it kind of far down.
I didn't. I've been staring at it for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nothing against this house, honestly. I really did enjoy this house, but I guess the others, I just enjoyed it a little bit more. And I guess we could say, kind of talking about the recency bias, I guess, just because it was a little while ago at this point that we had last done that house. Just, I don't know. Thinking about it, it's like, I did really enjoy it, but it wasn't one of those houses that every night we went to HHN and I'm like, oh, I need to do this house this night. Like, so. And I like the whole story of it. I really like the set design. I like the different characters they had. I really love the opening scene, honestly, when you first walked in with the guy with the list and it would light up in the red ink and signing your name, signing your soul off to the devil and stuff. Really, really cool concept, cool idea. Just, sorry guys, there's just other houses I liked more. And this is not a bad, it's in like the top 20, top 15. That's not bad for Darkest Deal. At all.
It should be top.
My ranking didn't even really matter. I feel like that's still pretty good. Top 10 is crazy. I think top 15 is a good spot for it.
If you had this at 15, it would be a
You
top
had this
10
at number
house.
6?
Yes.
That's a little much. But that's
think
just
it is.
just me. That's just me. This is our own.
I think 6 is
this
even
is our
too
own
low.
personal list, boys. This is. Listen, I could have 5 nights
I
at 4, and you
haven't
could have
said-
Darkest Deal at 6.
I haven't
I was going to say,
said
Seamus, you're not in this actually right now. You're good. You're good. You're good.
We haven't gotten to the one that's really going to set you up.
I mean, the ones that I was really hoping, I mean, I'm looking pretty good right now for my top 10. We've only talked about a couple of these. There's still a lot of heavy hitters that I was pretty excited that I've still made the cut for now.
There's a couple.
I guess,
now.
honestly, I think another one of those houses that I'm surprised it was as low as it was for you, because I thought, well, I mean, again, from going that year and going through that house quite a bit, I feel like you were really into
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm surprised it's as low as it was. But then again, we're talking 50 houses. This is a lot of houses.
And you know what?
And trying to get all of these ranked a certain way is tough.
And it's maybe just me being a hater to say, but it's funny that you said that. We did do this house a lot over the season, and I feel like everyone definitely caught on the hype train of Darkest Steel. Everyone's also started doing this house a lot towards the end of the season. I feel like, from what I recall, the last couple of runs I had done, maybe we just had, or at least I just had pretty bad luck with the scare timing, or maybe with cast changes, or just different little things that could have contributed to it. But I just feel like I missed a lot of those scares that we got early on in the season in that house. I just didn't feel it go as hard as the end as it did in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
I feel like this was kind of like how Descents of Destruction was. Like over time, people got more and more intrigued and interested into it,
which is good.
because when it did start, we did it a lot because it was that like 20-minute house. Like, oh yeah, Darkest Steel, 20, yeah, let's go hit it. But for me, like, the story was there, the characters were there, the design was there, the settings were there. It was all really cool. It intertwined the music a little bit.
Yeah.
The collector's design was really cool. The stage present of like when the soul got snatched was fun. It had scares. These people were in these dark corners and kind of popped out of nowhere. Jamie, like you said, the whole contract thing, it's just a silly little prop, but it was cool how the contract was being signed in real time. I love this house. Seamus, you got this at 12, so we're kind of in the same ballpark.
Yeah, for me, it wasn't like, I think it was really good. Obviously, I think 12 is a really, really, really good number out of 50. I think that I have fond memories of it. So I mean, just outside the top 10, I feel like it would have been like, honorable mention for me if we had just done the top 10 houses of the last 5 years. So yeah, I think it's really, really, it was a really well thought out house. Took a pretty traditional folk tale and did something new with it and really kind of brought a lot of life to it. And plus it was really cool. I like that, honky tonk, dark, music based type, house. So it worked well for me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think this is one that kind of got a little better over time for me, kind of a wine or a whiskey. I think it aged perfectly. I think as the years go by, I think I'm only going to grow more and more fond on this house because it is so special.
Yeah.
We'll obviously see what happens with this year and certain rumors. We might get a little taste of the Darkest Steel this year, but
right.
I will never forget my memories in that house. It was kind of a must hit for me.
Yeah, it was one of those houses that we always talk about. This is going to be a hit or a miss. Like there's no in between. This house was either going to be really good or it was going to be really bad, and it ended up being really good. So
yeah, just not to Jamie. It's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, she could have put it at 50. Let's just put it. Well, I'll give her that.
It's okay, guys. I like the IPs. We get it.
Well,
yeah, judging by this list, yeah. No, you do.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of IPs, let's go to lucky number 13.
Oh, don't do it to me.
Wouldn't you know it, this is also another tie. This lost the tiebreaker because the next house we'll talk about at 12, somebody ranked higher than The Exorcist Believer, which is number 13.
Okay, all right.
I think you're okay with that one, Jamie.
I am. I thought it was something else.
This one we're all not too far off of. Actually, I had this exactly at 13, so I was kind of spot on this
13?
one. Seamus, you had this at 9. This is a top 10 house for you.
Oh my God.
An IP in the top 10 for Seamus.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I don't know if y'all recall, but like all three of us, every time we did this house, we talked about how incredibly well done it was.
It was.
I mean, regardless of what the movie was, I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched it.
None of us have.
I've never finished it.
I mean, it's like Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like, I hated the movie, but I loved the house.
Nick with
this
us.
one, never seen the damn movie, but the house was really good. It was scary. It was well done. It felt believable. I loved the effects in this house. Like when you walked through the kitchen scene and then you walked through it again and all the
yeah.
like all the floorboards will light up, and it looks like you're like it's all being eaten away by fucking hell and the devil. I think this house was it truly made me a believer in this house. That's not to
Oh,
drop
like
a pun
it.
on everybody,
That was
but
good, Seamus.
no, it was really good. I mean, this house is easily top 10 for me. I mean, obviously low top 10, but still out of the 50, top 10 for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I most of the sentiment you just shared is why I had it ranked 4 spots below you, so we're right there. This was a house I was not super excited for.
I don't think anybody
was. No, an
'Cause
Exorcist
nobody knew what
movie
it
that
was.
had not even come out at the time. I think
Mhm.
upon announcement. I don't think it even released until through the season.
Like, I don't think it came out till like October, so it was like already halfway
Yeah.
through the season before we actually got to see what it was.
Yeah, but it was terrifying. They had an amazing cast in this one, with the girl in the chair where you like walk around
Oh,
her.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, like
Oh.
she literally got me because the first time we went to that house, and again, I've told people a million times, it's hard to get me with scares because I anticipate them all the time. And that I thought she was fake. I thought she was like a mannequin, and then she moved, and I was like, oh, ah! Like, I'm not even joking. Like,
Yeah,
very few times can you get me in a house again, only because it's not because I'm not a big tough guy. It's just because I literally anticipate everything. So I'm always looking for the boo holes, and I just do
Yeah.
that. I just do that subconsciously.
yeah.
And I could have swore she was fake, and she got me so good the first time I went to that house. And I think that again sold it immediately for me. I was like, all right, yep, you got me.
Yeah, that's one of those scares that like every time you don't even know if you're gonna get it or not because she might not jump up. So like it is that like, is it gonna get me this time? Is it not? Am I
right? Because then you anticipate it, expecting it to happen every time, and it doesn't happen every time.
Yep.
That's a smart character. That's someone who really knows how to handle the role she's given or he's given.
Yeah, and the smells in this house were atrocious.
Oh yeah, of course. Shit
Like
smells.
they pumped in that shit smell pretty good in one of those rooms,
That
or
nasty,
puke
shitty
smell or
smell.
something like that. You start kind of in the forest in like that little like missing persons area. I think there was like a little almost voodoo style room to start the house, if I'm not mistaken. I think
It
there
was
was like a
like
table or
that,
something that
like
moved.
outdoor kind of village town square like setting, I guess, if it's a good way to explain it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because you went into like a barn at one point because they had the pigs there as well. Just a lot of stuff. There was like, I remember there was a couple, I think, screen scares where they'd be on side of
Oh,
your
yep.
pathway, but it looked blacked out until some sort of sound came and the either the walls dropped or they lit up behind it so you could see the characters behind there jumping towards you. This was fueled, I think, primarily because of the cast. I don't think anything they did with like set design was blow your mind spectacular because they had the basics to work with. It was the cast that sold this house. But Jamie, you had it at 27, so not really. I mean, in this like high teens, low teens to 30s, I think is kind of a ballpark. Like you're not far off, really.
I mean, in the long run, I could kind of care less about The Exorcist Believer, but it was a scary house. And for, like you guys said, for all of us not thinking we were going to enjoy it, and for none of us seeing the movie when it came out, even after the fact when it came out, I think it very much surprised us. Obviously, that scare in the room with the scare actor in the middle kind of being possessed. Like you said, Seamus, I love those kind of scares that you don't expect when you think it's a static figure and then it's a real person. It's always fun to try and guess what not, if it is or not, because that kind of just what kind of gets the anticipation going and kind of builds the excitement too. But overall, for what it was, and just not even knowing to expect with this house because no one had even seen the movie come out yet, I think it was good for what it was. It was one of the scarier houses that we have had in the last couple of years compared to some of the others. And yeah, there's just other in specific IPs, I guess, for this one that I liked better over it.
I feel like had the movie come out before the house, I probably would have forced myself to finish it.
Yeah.
I would have probably ended up ranking the house even higher because I would have been that much more surprised by how they took such a shit property and turned it into something like spectacular, which ended up at 13 on our list because It just is what it is.
Which I think didn't they come out and say like leading up to that year that like the house wasn't going to be necessarily like taken from the movie. It was more of like a lead up to the movie or something like that. That like wasn't. There was something about it. They said it wasn't like a real spoiler or something like that. But
Yeah,
because everybody had the same thing. It's like, why are we doing a house about a movie that hasn't come out yet? Like that's weird.
I feel like that only happens like when something bad happens, like if the movie gets like pushed or something, which is never truly a good sign. But yeah, I mean this house was so bad that they had a planned trilogy and they scrapped the whole trilogy.
That is true.
So
to be fair, they planned a whole new Monsters universe and that didn't go anywhere either. So
true, very true.
Even though the last movie, the Frankenstein movie, was really good, but whatever. I digress.
Yeah. They're all sort of could be tied if they wanted to, but they do not. Let's move to number 12. Now, like I said, this was a tie with The Exorcist Believer. However, Jamie saved this house. Jamie got this one over the hump to beat out The Exorcist.
It's wild that Jamie is the one that saved this house, by the way.
I know.
Not gonna lie to you.
I'm a little
not gonna lie to you
by my own ranking on this one.
I'm actually surprised how high she has it ranked. Like I thought it was going to be you kind of in this ballpark. I didn't think it was going to be her ranking.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, guess.
Yeah, what do you think this one is? Number 12.
According to my calculations and what I think it might be, is it Dead Man's?
No?
Okay.
We are not
no
there
clue
yet,
then.
thankfully.
I was going to say that. I don't know the way you were hyping it up. I was like, oh, something that Nick really likes, but was surprised about me.
It's such a thing. It's so up Nick's alley. That's why I'm just like, you had this the lowest out of the three of us?
Oh, no. Then what could it be?
This is Slaughter Cinema 2.
Wow, okay. Huh. Not what I was also expecting.
So, Jamie, you had this at number 6, so why don't you take the floor of all things at Slaughter Cinema 2?
I had it
almost top 5.
Almost top 5. Did no one like Slaughter Cinema? What's the haps, guys?
It's not that I didn't. No, it's not that I didn't like it.
I thought we liked
so many houses.
I thought we liked it. This is actually very surprising that I had this ranked the highest, then and Nick didn't.
Well, wait, Nick, give the rest of the rankings because you think that it. Just finish even the rankings.
Jamie had it at 6. We all had it in the top half. Seamus had this at 19.
Okay.
And I had this at 24.
24. Wow, that's. I mean, still not terrible. Top 25, but wow, yeah. Wow, you made me lose my train of thought. I'm very caught off guard. Honestly, I thought we would all have this at least in the top 10. But yeah, Slaughter Cinema 2. It's quite unfortunate that I did not get to go through the original Slaughter Cinema house, but luckily for YouTube, I've seen the walkthrough plenty of times. I'm sure I would have enjoyed it just as much as I would have done Slaughter Cinema 2. I love B-grade horror, especially horror comedy, stuff like that. I think when comedy works with horror is in this kind of stuff. I just really love the anthology style of the house. I love like the drive-in cinema walk-up style when you just had the B-grade movie trailers playing outside. I thought it was really fun, kind of reminiscent of old HHN times when they would play different videos or shorts to go along with the house versus just like ads for movies coming up or whatnot or other different stuff from previous years. But overall, I love the variety in this house, even though there was some that I liked more than others. I thought it was just a really fun house to walk through. There was some good different scares. There's a lot of really cool costume designing. I just really like the overall theme of it too. I mean, I like the old movies like that and stuff. So it's funny that this has landed where it was, but I still think it's a pretty good spot for it.
Yeah, I think if Slaughter Cinema 1 was on this list, I probably would have put it top 10. I don't think that Slaughter Cinema 2 by any means hurt the brand name of Slaughter Cinema. I think this is something that should be repeated time and time again because it's not truly being repeated. Like, it's all different properties, so I think it's a great testing ground. I just think I enjoyed the properties of the first one more. I think there was some memorable moments in here, but I think there was a couple throwaway areas in the house as well. Even ones that I probably, if you told me all of them, I probably would have been excited for them. But stuff like the undead clown area, I thought was kind of a little bit of a throwaway. It was just like I feel like that movie could have been done a different way that felt a little bit better versus just kind of being in caves with like clowns popping out. Like, I feel like they could have brought that to life in a better way. The Jaws, shark, whatever that one was. Really cool, like puppety thing, but it really was just like
Blood and
a
chum.
little walk around.
It was a walk around.
Yeah, blood chum or
Blood
yeah.
chum. Yep.
It felt like a very shortened room. Like it wasn't really a room, right? It was a corner essentially.
It was a little kind
Yeah.
of curvature. Yeah.
It was kind of like a
Yeah.
little. And the thing with that one too is you could totally anticipate the scare because as you're walking in, you know that
Yeah.
the thing here, there's going to be something there. So it was kind of a
Mhm.
wasted scare,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Stuff like Mummy Strippers like brought you so into that environment, whereas like those other two I just mentioned didn't really have an environment, right? The clowns
Yeah.
weren't. It didn't make sense to me. Fun for sure, still a fun
No, I
topic.
agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they were hit and miss on some of the scenes in this house.
Yeah, so
So there was
that's
either
kinda
really,
why I
really
put it
good
there.
scenes, and then there were some like,
Yeah.
that's okay scenes.
Yeah, it was very kind of waves for me. Even stuff like Heavy Metal Hell 3D, I liked those two rooms. Maybe it's because I don't like being teased on something that was like such a cool premise and I enjoyed what we got. But I did think also because that was the character we put out at Spooky, that it was going to
True.
be a little bit more prominent in some way. I mean, it did kind of have like a 2.5 room or 2 room spot. So that was cool. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed the house still. It doesn't hurt my love for that, I guess, franchise. And it's something that I hope continues. I hope we see Slaughter Cinema 3 in the next year or two. I don't think it'll be this year, but whether we see it at maybe 37 or something. Give it like
Yeah.
a little mini break, so that way we're kind of really
I'd like to see
anticipating
them do it again at some point.
Yeah. So you and Seamus, you had this at 19. Is there anything like in particular that maybe
No.
we didn't hit?
Honestly, I think kind of what you were saying is why I put it at 19. I think it was really good. I think personally, it's just more of I'm not as big of a, what do you call it? Like a, what are these?
C-grade horror.
No, not even that.
Compilation.
Compilation. There you go. Jesus, couldn't think of.
I got
think of
you.
words
I
anymore.
got you.
I'm just not as big a compilation fan, so a lot of the houses that I put in the top 20 are just a higher because I prefer the theme of those houses, or the solitary theme of it. But at the same time, it was fun. I just think for me, if all of the scenes had all been bangers, I would have been like, this may have been top 10.
Yeah.
But
yep.
because it was hit or miss, I think that's kind of hurt it a little bit. Because I mean, I really liked the Mardi Gras. That first initial scene
Mardi
was
Gras
really
murders.
good, but then it kind of felt like it was a high and then a low and then a high and then a low, and it was weird because like Mummy Strippers, although funny, I could do with or without that one. Same with the Jaws one. But then again, the Hatchet and Chains was really good. I liked the Heavy Metal Hell 3D. I liked I especially
Cyborgs.
I especially like Cyborgs. I thought that was really cool.
Me
I really
too.
wish they would do a Cyborg. Like I kind of wanted, if we weren't going to get Hatchet and Chains, I would have been okay with a Cyborg's house. I think that house could really be explored. I like that idea of like, Terminator / like zombie-ish type monsters. That would have been really cool. Those costumes are really
Mhm.
cool. But yeah, I think overall the house was, again, I mean, it's fun. I'm bummed I never got to do the first one. Like I really wish I had gotten to do the first one, but again, that happened in like 25 or whatever year that was, and I just wasn't here for it.
I think 27
26
or 28,
27, whatever it was.
Somebody will correct us in the comments, but
But-
it's one of those, I believe.
But either way, like I feel like maybe having that as kind of a background, I would have maybe been, I don't know, maybe more into that one. I don't know. But the point is I like it. And I do hope they do a third one because I think this is a great place to try out ideas, try out things. Like rather like can we make this a full house? I don't know. Why don't let's do a Slaughter Cinema and see what happens.
Yeah, it was 28 was the
28.
first iteration.
Oh, that's right. Because it was the first year I was here. I didn't go because I was poor. I couldn't afford it. It was like, I just bought a
I
house.
feel that,
I cannot go
Seamus.
to
Yeah. But yeah, the old Slaughter Cinema, I think that's a fine spot for it. Number 12.
I agree.
Number 11. This is kind of, as far as other than maybe the top couple, this is a pretty
close.
consistent house
Yeah,
amongst
this one
us.
was pretty
three.
close. I think I had it a little bit lower than you did, but
Yep. This is kind of the little engine that could. I think it got pretty clean rankings across the board, which ended up pushing it just one spot outside the top 10. So number 11 is Major Sweets Candy
All right.
Factory. I had this house the highest. I had this at 11. Jamie, you had it at 16, so right below me by 5
Yep.
spots. And Seamus had it at 20, so only 4 spots past
Mhm.
you. So nobody is really an outlier on this one. So just because I guess you had it the lowest, but not really low, Seamus, what are your memories of Major Sweets at this point? A couple years removed.
So I liked Major Sweets. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
really did enjoy the house. I think the house was well thought out. It was a fun house. It was one of those houses where it's like, yeah, it's scary, but it's also kind of a good time. Kind of like Dolls in a
Yeah.
sense. I think my major issues with this house was just that although it's probably the best use of the Fast and Furious space, I still felt it was almost too tight, too condensed, if that makes any sense. I feel like when you don't have enough space to kind of spread out, it can be kind of hard to make the house fit all of the elements in. I felt like it was kind of like there were moments like when you walk into the like the secretary room, like when that first area, like that was fun with Mrs. Sweets. That was cool. There were certain parts where with the trigger, one of the triggers rooms was really good. But then there were other elements where it kind of felt it was just really, really, really tight, hard to kind of like really kind of hard to get anything out of it. Like I think there were elements of this house that kind of felt empty in some ways. So I think overall it was fun. I don't think it captured the fun of the scare zone as much as I wanted it to. Like I felt the scare zone was better because it felt more alive. It felt more like that classic Halloween, October night with the candy and the kids running around in costume. Like that felt more traditional to me. And this house, I felt like I wanted it to be like that, and it really wasn't. And I don't know, but if you were looking for like messed up, what is it? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think you got that. I think it's kind of what it gave you. Maybe I wasn't looking for that so much as I was looking for more of the scare zone. But still, top 20, I think it's definitely worth the top 20, if not higher.
Yeah. I said it just about cracked the top 10 for us. So I very much enjoyed this house. Clearly, I think a lot of the points you made are accurate as to why maybe it knocked it down a little bit more for me, because it did. It's just that space is just tough. It was clearly the best Fast and the Furious house, but it has to be tight. And I remember going into the season being like, oh, this should be a big soundstage, like wide open, like a big factory.
Right.
We didn't get that. They went the more, which smart because of the location. They had to do that rinky-dink industrial, small-timey, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it still could have benefited from being in a bigger area, even if it was a sprung tent. Like that would have given you plenty of space to work with.
And we've talked about it before. Like what they've pulled off in sprung tents, like it blows my mind that they struggle as much with that area. Like I guess that the inside of that building must just be so constrictive that it's so hard to put anything in there with any type of true like the planning. It must be so hard to get that to work right, because that, again, of all the houses that have been in that Fast and the Furious building, it's the best one. And I love the fact that they took, instead of doing the break, they said we're going to start here, because at least it will make more sense. There won't really need to be a break. But you're right.
And
I think
they gave us a great facade. Like I know it was like mini, but still it hits so nice.
No, that facade was really good.
Like the audio playing over too was a nice little trick.
Yep.
But yeah, Jamie, you had this at 16, so kind of in between me and Seamus.
Yeah, still a pretty good spot for this, I feel like, but where it ended up, I think, is good as well. I do agree, Nick. I think this could have benefited definitely from a soundstage or a tent, preferably. I think you could have done a really cool facade with that too. But I will agree that the facade for the space that it has was very cool and definitely gave off that candy factory vibes that we were going for. But I also agree with you, Seamus, in relation to just how much more fun the scare zone was. I know they wanted to go for that like industrial, like grimy style with the candy factory and stuff like that, but I just wish it was a little more, I guess, how the scares were good and the costuming was great, but I feel like all the candy and those bright colored costumes and different just like stuff like that didn't blend well for me with that industrial style of the factory in itself. Maybe that's just
Yeah.
me being picky, but I did get the like kind of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory gone wrong vibes, but like when I think of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I think of like obviously they have some pretty industrial stuff in there too, but like obviously the big like candy room that you walk into and stuff like that, really bright, but they still have those dark tones where you kind of go up and up into the factory and stuff. So, like I said, this is just
Yep.
my personal preference bias. I still think it was a great house. Obviously, I ranked it at number 16, which I don't think is very bad at all. But those were just the little things that I feel like kind of didn't make it into the top 10 for me.
Yeah, same thing you're talking. Like I was looking for wacky, whimsical, colorful, and although some of the costuming was kind of aligned with that, mostly with Major Sweets and Miss Treats, the children or factory workers had a little bit of color on the makeup, but the environment was very just browned out, mundane, dingy, dirty, which is what they were going for. Shame on me for building it up in my mind. Another style, but that was kind of all signs were pointing towards that. So I can't really be disappointed that it's not what I got. But even from the logo is very
I feel
colorful.
like it's fair to rank these based on what we expected to. I feel like this house, I was expecting Willy Wonka. Obviously not like a carbon copy of that movie, but at least I was expecting kind of like that whimsical, out there, completely off the wall, messed up haunted candy factory, but with that universal Halloween Horror Nights flavor thrown on top of it. And we didn't really get that. I don't think that's what they got, or like you said, I don't think that's what they were going for.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Yeah. And it's totally fine. Like I understand where they were going. It's just for me there was just better options in the 50 that I couldn't put this really much higher than I did.
They should have just called it Major Sweets Dirty Factory.
Yeah, probably.
The dirty dog. Number 10, we are cracking into the top 10.
Woohoo!
Top 10. Drum roll, please.
Now, I am going to allow Jamie to ask Seamus about his ranking for this house because although it made top 10.
The fact this made top 10, we got to give, for what I put it at, I'm surprised this made as high as it was.
Top 10. Jamie, do you have your list in front of you of your stuff?
Yeah, and I've been waiting for this one house that has made it thus far, and if it's going to be a top 10, I'll be happy with it.
So this is why don't you announce it? This is your number 3 house.
I knew it. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for these last 6 or 7 that we've done. I can't believe it made it this far. Number 10.
Top 10.
Number 10.
That's huge.
Baby. Can I announce it?
Yeah.
Number 10. We have The Haunting of Hill House. Cracked the top 10. It cracked it. I had it at number 3.
To be fair,
I had it at number 3.
Hey, you're the reason it cracked.
Oh, I believe it.
That is for damn sure.
I believe it. Everyone's hate.
So, Seamus, why don't you tell Jamie where you had this ranked?
Yes.
And
Come on,
again,
Shamo.
this isn't a terrible
Let's hear
ranking
it.
by any stretch of
Okay.
the imagination.
Yeah, it's not
If
bad.
it's in 40s,
but like
I'm
you
going to be
said,
pissed.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
if it was 40s, it
I was
wouldn't
going
have
to
been
say it
top
wouldn't
10.
have. Okay.
I had this at 25. I had this right
All right.
smack dab in the middle of my
That's okay.
rankings. This is kind of like the opposite of Five Nights or Exorcist Believer for me, in the sense that I enjoy the subject matter. I loved the show. I absolutely did. I love that show. I like almost anything Mike Flanagan does. The house to me just didn't translate. I didn't really like the house as much. And I kind of knew going into it that why I like the show so much, they're never going to make it work as a house. In the sense that you're never going to get what the show goes for, because the show, it's very subtle. It's very family dynamic. That's the main part of it. But with the backdrop of a haunted house and all of the ghostly stuff, all of the scary stuff kind of happens in the corners, in the darkness. And you kind of catch that off the peripheral vision, but when you're focused on whatever family drama is happening. And that's what I love so much about his shows. I just think it was a very, very hard subject matter to pull off in a house. Obviously not as hard as something like A Quiet Place, but similar along those lines, where it's there's a lot of certain beats that they had to hit, and they did, I just don't think it was enough for me to be like, this is a truly good haunted house. And that's the only reason I have it kind of in the middle. I mean, it's really, really good, but not good enough to say that like this is what I'm looking for when I go through some sort of haunted attraction.
Yeah, you had it as a good house, not a great house.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I get that too, because and it's even tougher with these series. It's not a movie, so it's not like you have 2 hours to work with. This is like, what, 10 total hours
Yeah.
of character-driven, trauma-based stories. That's a lot to smash into a 6-minute haunted house. Like that's a lot. I split the difference between you. I had this at 16.
Okay.
So I had it right outside my top 15. But Jamie, why don't you go down the list of all the things you just adored about this house?
Well, I adore this.
If we have
I
time.
know. Well, I'll be quick with it. I adore the series. Seamus said, I think we're all pretty big Mike Flanagan fans, honestly. Obviously, for Netflix kind of having that connection with Horror Nights and that partnership for a little bit, I feel like this is something we'll never get to see again. We'll never get another Haunting of Hill House, probably never Blind Manor, Midnight Mass, all those kind of shows of his, which is
sadly.
very, very unfortunate. So I'm glad we got it when we did. I definitely think COVID really hurt this house a little bit. It didn't hurt it for me because I was just happy for it to be there. I think it was a beautiful setting, and they made it really well in the sense of you could feel like that dreary, somber tone when you're walking through the house, even though you're kind of already in that haunted house style and setting. You would have the pops of red from the red door and just the very like gray muted tones, and even the different ghosts and characters that they had going throughout. And I know Seamus had mentioned that it is tough because a lot of the ghosts and like scares that you pick up from these shows, you kind of see more in the background. But I think they did really well too with playing with a lot of mirror work in this house and some of those different screens that you would pick up. You would have the really long, elongated hallway that the tall hat man would come down, and it would kind of have that mirror trick in the background too, as if it like kept going into the abyss. The opening facade scene when you would hear young Luke on the sounds like overhead, he's like, Abigail, turn back around, or Abigail's in the window, and you would look up and it would like or the projection or whatever in the window would like change when you would look at it at different times, and you could see Abigail popping up in the window. And just the little thing, this show, just Hill House and Bly Manor, I'm more of a bigger fan of Bly Manor, but Hill House really does mean a lot to me too. Just when these shows first came out, I was like, man, this is like everything you could possibly want in like a haunted house story. I mean, like you said, Nick, the character development is just so amazing. It's such like a tragic and heartbreaking story, but it's scary, and it's just was the perfect idea and concept for a house. But like I said, I know Seamus just hopped back on. I didn't know if he catch the part, but it just really does sucks that we got this during the COVID times, because when you have, I'm zoned out right now, but when you have like Nell, or I think it was the mom, dancing kind of like in her red room, which was the like tea party room for her, and she just had to like wear the mask, which kind of took it away from it, and you had kind of the curtains up and stuff like that. But just even some of the soundtrack that they used from the show in the house, just all just really blended together. And I could talk about this house all night, but I won't, just because I liked it. I really did really enjoy it so much, and it's something unique that we unfortunately won't get again, but I am glad that we got to see it at least.
No, that's a
Yeah, I
fair
remember-
point. I think having
Am I about to cry over Haunting of Hill House? Because I miss it so much.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Hey, good.
It's a beautiful,
a good
it's
cry
a
is not a bad thing.
devastatingly sad, beautiful show.
Hey, I cried during Ted Lasso, so don't feel
Oh,
bad.
so
that's
have I.
fine.
Yeah, I
That's
think we all have.
Barbecue sauce. But yes, I think I just remembered I really loved this house. I couldn't remember specific moments to pull. I remember the facade, obviously, just that beautiful giant house with the red lights, and it kind of, I think the lights pulsed a little bit to give that like heartbeat of the house.
That's when you'd get the Abigail scare too, when it would like, yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think the something that we kind of touched upon of it being so hard to translate this, I think the best part, I think for me, what the Haunting of Hill House was that final aha moment at the end when the father was talking to, was it Stephen that he brought to the house? And he was talking about all the times he's like, oh yeah, in Luke's treehouse, in the playroom, and this and that. He's like, we just spent all of our money on this giant house we couldn't afford. We were working on it all the time. when would we have had time to build Luke a treehouse? And then you kind of come to that realization. You're like, oh shit, all of those shots of them in the rooms, like the window was right there, like it's the same room. Like this is not like, and it's that realization that like, oh shit,
Red
I
room.
need to go back and rewatch. Like
Absolutely.
that's not a moment you can have in a house.
Fantastic. Mike Flanagan, you fucking legend. Oh my God, that was such a good scene and such a good reveal. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Sorry, not to cut you
when
off.
he was like talking about the clock worker too, and it's
Oh my
like,
God.
when would we have that guy's from like the 40s? Like why would there be like a twirly mustached grandfather clock worker there?
Right.
Like why you think we could afford? Like that's just the moments
I'm about to
that
watch it
you
tonight.
can't have in a house. Yeah, right. You
Sure,
just
to
can't.
binge the whole show after the episode.
It just doesn't work in a house. You can't have those
It is.
I get
It's
that.
very
realization
hard.
moments.
I mean, there were parts of it that were good.
Yes.
I liked Nell, bent neck lady, like when she kind of dropped from the ceiling. That was kind of cool. I liked the really dark hallway. I think that was pretty effective. But for the most part, this house it was hard to translate. It really was. And that's why I'm glad they never did a Bly Manor, because I think Bly Manor would have been even harder to do.
That is more character driven, I think.
I think it'd be a little easier to do Bly Manor. Yeah.
Really? Well, we could always have that discussion. We could have this like a
do a whole Mike
episode.
Flanagan
Oh,
episode.
Yeah,
That would
we
be
should.
fun.
We should. That would
Because
be
I
fun.
think
We should do that.
was it black? It's not black. It's not Black Mass. That's
Midnight
the Johnny
Mass.
Depp movie. Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass was really
Also
good. And
good,
have you
yes.
watched his Poe yet? The
The
Fall
Fall
of
House,
House of
the
Usher?
Usher. Nick watched it, I
Yes.
think.
Yep. Love that one
phenomenal.
too.
That show was
Yeah.
like one of his best, if not his best.
I think
of
Midnight
my
Mass
opinion.
is my favorite.
I
That's
do like
so
Midnight
funny.
Mass.
We all
I really
have
do like Midnight
different
Mass. Yeah.
favorites. Mhm.
But we
Different
should
favorites,
have a Mike Flanagan night.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a. I'll have to commit 40 hours to rewatching every single series.
Have you seen his movie, Seamus
good.
Absentia?
all right.
Not to get too off track, but if you haven't, it's on Tubi. It's from like
Absentia.
2011.
Think so. Is that
Pretty
the one
good.
with Shia LaBeouf?
No. That's a Disturbia. Close.
I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I don't know if
Yes.
I've
Let's
seen
check
it.
All
that
right.
out. But all right, we are in the top 10. So number 9.
Number
This is
9.
one that-
Number 9.
It ranked exactly where I put it. I put this house at number 9.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Seamus had it at number 6. This is Jamie's last lowest ranking. Jamie had this at 23. This was the bait and switch house. Supposedly, the long rumored Billie Eilish turned into number 9's Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth. The last house in the Shrek Theater.
It
I
was the
Yeah.
last house in Shrek here. That's right.
Miss it.
Yep.
I
So we
had-
had the new ride-in
Yep.
put in there.
This was definitely for me, I think, the biggest surprise of that year.
Yeah.
This one I
For sure.
didn't know what to expect. I don't think they really gave us much to work off of as far as like what is going to be in this house. I just remember having a fucking blast.
Yeah, this house was incredible.
This was just wacky and wild and ghoulies, goblins, monsters, whatever. They were all in there. So Seamus, number 6,
Oh,
almost
yeah.
top 5 for you,
Almost
but in the
my
top 10,
5. I mean,
safely top 10.
it could have been top 5 if it wasn't for like just the 5 that are my top 5. Like if it wasn't for those 5, if there was one that was kind of shaky, this would have easily been top 5. I enjoyed this house so much. I loved everything about it. I like that comic book, that film noir. I like all of that being mashed together. I mean, the fact that we haven't gotten another Boris Schuster house is a travesty. Like this has been what 5, almost 6 years now, and it's like we haven't received anything Boris Schuster or even just Case Files or Legendary Truth or anything along those lines since. Is such it's so depressing. Like we need to revisit his story. Give us another case file. Give us something else to dig into. But just it was so much good about. I loved the cast, the costuming. I loved the elements to it. I love the ending scene where like it's a Ghostbusters style like portal is open and things are being like sucked into into our world. It's so much fun. I love combining that film noir with like alien sci-fi. It just spoke to me. It was so good. It was just so good.
Yeah, it just that voiceover entrance too, with him like pacing back and forth reading, and like it put you in the theme of the house immediately.
Brings you into that
and
world. Yeah.
I loved this one. Jamie, 23, so top half for you. Not anything to scoff at, that's for sure.
Top
but
half, still not bad.
what made this thing drop down out of the, say, top 15, top 10?
I guess just, I mean, I don't want to sound too repetitive, but I mean, I guess
And it's
just
tough. This is 5-6 years ago at this
and I
point.
mean, just others being ahead of it that I
Yeah.
preferred more, and that I guess maybe were more memorable for me. I will say, though, that this house, compared to other ones we've done in the past, and obviously the last 5 years with this top 50 we're doing, I feel like it did have a very different vibe to it, which was cool. I feel like every time I walked through this, I would just like think to myself, like, this is like the perfect setting when you feel you're like in the black and white movies, like smoking a cig, writing on your typewriter, like writing a novel. I was like, this is a very, like, that film noir style's not really, I wouldn't say it's not my vibe. I've just never really gotten into it per se, I guess. But I do think it was very different and something unique to have in a house. And I do think it worked. It's funny that you guys mentioned those like alien pod kind of things, because I'm pretty sure, and you guys are gonna laugh at me, but I knew they had looked familiar. They're very resemblant of the ones that we saw in Grave of Flesh. Those kind of like weird pod things that you walk through.
Ball sacky things.
They probably are.
And the kind of big, like I guess giant, like test tube looking cylindrical metal things, whatever. Anyways, long story short, I feel like it's hard to explain. I get what they were going through with like different kind of anthology and stories and different monsters and stuff like that. But I feel like for me that maybe it was too different, that I feel like I probably would have preferred if they kind of went more that dark noir style versus like putting in the aliens and all those other kind of weird creatures in there kind of took a little bit away from me. But overall, like I said, I think it was a unique idea for a house. It was really cool to see Boris Schuster, since there's so much lore behind him and we really don't get to see him that frequent for Horror Nights other than us peeking and saying hello to him from his little window over in New York. But other than that, for what the house was, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, and we got to go to the Kitty Cat Club.
And we got to go to the Kitty Cat Club. That was fun.
That was fun. That should have boosted it up to the number 20 spot for you.
I thought it was a pretty good spot.
Cats?
I was like 23. I thought it was pretty hot. I like cats.
No, I adored this house as well. This one, I think from everything that you both have said, it's the exact reasons why I love this house as well. It hit the vibe. It was something that I haven't really got to see myself, being the whole case files, the legendary truth stuff was kind of before my time. Boris Schuster was sort of this mythical character that I've heard about and seen in artwork, but not in person. I don't think this was a house that really was hurt too bad by the COVID restrictions. I think this house probably would have been fairly similar as well to what we got. So I'm happy with that. I think there was some good scares in here as well. I liked when Boris was like in the, I think it was just a screen or not, but when he was like in the gun battle with one of the monsters and kind of shooting back and coming back, it was kind of similar to the hatchet and chains scenes. So I think this is a fine spot. It's literally exactly where I put it at number 9, right in my top 10. And I think that's a pretty fair spot. Well, let's move up to number 8.
I think this is the first
one.
Wasn't this the? Oh no, it's not the first of your top 10. Sorry, second of your top 10.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, so that was the second of my top 10. So we are now at number 8, and this is one that really isn't going to be much of a battle between any of us. We each had this 2 spots off. I had this at number 10. Jamie had it at 12. Seamus had it at 14. For everybody that says Seamus hates every single Universal Monsters house,
don't say I don't give
you're
you
wrong.
everything.
Not all of them. Just most of them. This is Universal Monsters Unmasked from 32. Top 15 for all of us. Mm-hmm. I had this at number 10, which is, it's wild that we had it at 10, 12, and 14, and somehow it ends at number 8.
And at 8, yeah.
It snuck its way in there. It was the little engine that could, I guess, because based off of where all the other rankings left, I guess an average got boosted because of that.
Easily the best Monsters house they've ever done.
Definitely the best Monsters house they've ever done.
It's not even close. Yeah. And I will argue with anybody that this is the only Monsters house that they've done that is worth like any amount of remembering or I don't know. It's just so good. And the funny thing is it's characters that you wouldn't think would be, Because I mean,
Yeah.
it was what the Hunchback and
Phantom,
Invisible Man.
Invisible Man, and
Phantom.
Phantom, and then
Jekyll and Hyde.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jekyll Hyde. Yep,
It's
Jekyll
just every scene in this house, maybe except for the Invisible Man one,
No, no.
was really, really well done, really good. I think for this house, for the moment you walked in and you had that opening scene, and I mean, there are facades for some of these houses, and then there are facades, and this house had a facade. Like it was,
Yeah.
between the rain,
Yep.
And
come
that's a
on
good
now.
point right there too.
and the sound and the scare actor with the mic, like you had you had a hot mic scare actor, and it just worked so friggin' well. It was so good. And you walking into the sewer, and you're kind of going into the Phantom's lair. This house is so legendary. Like literally, like it's if they did a Monsters house like this every year, I would be a Monsters guy. You'd have me on board.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
unfortunately, they're not all going to be like this. And again, like I'm usually one that's like, I don't really like the mashup of all these characters, but I just felt like these ones fit. It made sense. The story made sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like you said, the facade, like, wow. When we walked into that, I think everybody and their mother that walked through this house was like, wow, it's raining. Like, it just, not only did they have the appearance, they had the sound, they had the sense, they had the live character way up above you.
Yeah.
And we had the environment, which isn't something you can typically always control. But to have this as that interior facade was just
for
like,
sure.
okay, we're in for something real
Yeah.
special here, because this is just out of the
I mean,
ordinary. But
Dare I say the best triple scare they've ever done? Or am I crazy to say that?
I think you're crazy after the Collide one.
Oh, all right. That's fine. I will say this
Close,
is probably the best triple scare that I've ever seen.
Extremely close. But Jamie, what were your memories? Because you had this right in between us.
I did. I mean,
You had this
guys
one right
kind
at
of
12.
Yes. I feel like you guys kind of emphasized on everything I enjoyed too, but I feel like even though all of these different Universal monsters we don't
Yeah.
you got me? It was reconnecting on my end. Good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I just
we
want
got
to
you.
I just want to make sure, guys. I thought you couldn't hear me. No, but as I was saying, I think even though all these different Universal monsters that we haven't really gotten to see in a house before, didn't think they would work well together, like you said, Seamus, I feel like the story was kind of there, and even though they were so obscure, it just worked. It was very fun. It didn't feel like an anthology style monster house, I guess, that we've seen in past ones maybe, but it really flowed well together. I mean, all the different facades pretty much for each room were just impeccable. I mean, the Phantom room when you're walking down those draped hallways, even though apparently no one liked him, but the Invisible Man moon was probably my friggin' favorite. I mean, I thought that was so cool. I just love like the black light work, and then he would kind of like pop out from the ceiling in the back of the freaking wall, and his arm came swooping down and got me like 3 times, even though it was coming every time, and just yeah, the work and the detail that went into this house, it just seemed like they really cared about this monster house compared to some of the other ones that they've done maybe. Even though I don't want to be a hater and say that I didn't
Yeah.
dislike the other ones, but I just really like this one a lot better.
It was very surprising that, like, out of all of the monster houses we've had, this was the lineup that kind of brought them to the finish line. This
Yeah.
was just all over the place. And like going in, I was kind of, the artwork got me excited, but it definitely had me asking a lot of questions. And this is one that didn't necessarily need that super in-depth story. It was just kind of, it was what it was. And I had a blast with this one. This one was just, I think, an all-timer for me. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that it cracked into the top 10. I
Me
had
too.
it right at 10. And when I got the rankings and I saw where we put stuff, I was like, okay, I that's fine. But I'm glad that the way everything else calculated, it snuck into the position that it is in.
I agree.
Have a lot of fond memories with that. So let's go now to number 7. I think this might be the one where Seamus, this is one of the ones I think that Seamus was asking the question,
How does this happen?
Jamie?
How did this happen? How?
Let's hear it.
This should have been top 5. How did this happen? That's fine. Go
I-
ahead. Continue.
Seamus had this at
I can
number
understand
4.
why it's not top 5, but it's fine. Go ahead.
Seamus had this at 4. I had it at 7. So again, right at the spot that it is. Jamie, though, had this all the way in the mid-20s. This is last year's El Artista, A Spanish Haunting.
Yeah.
So, Seamus, number 4, why don't you
Oh my goodness.
sing the praises of that,
So,
and then we'll get to Jamie's explanation.
The thing is, I can understand. I get it, because like as a haunted house, did it have the best scares we've ever seen? No, I don't think so. But
Didn't have any.
I just, of all the houses that just screams Dylan House, it's easily one of the best houses I've ever gone through. Like the house is so well done. It was so well done. It was so perfect. And like people say there was no scares in it. It wasn't as good with the scares, but like I don't know. Like the tall guy at the beginning kind of came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? They came up from behind you because you were so focused on what Mr. Whatever his name was, Sergio was doing. I just think it fits so well. I love that like Victorian era like mansion, like haunted mansion type thing. Just works really. It worked so well. The facade was incredible.
Similar to that Hill House.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was like
beautiful.
Hill House in a lot of ways. But just I feel like it was better than Hill House in a lot of ways too. So I don't know. Maybe I have it too high. Maybe top 5 is wild. Maybe I'm the only person on planet Earth that thinks that.
I don't think so.
I just think this house was just so good. I think the only issue I had with it was, to me, it felt like it was a waste of the bungee / zip line scare. I think that was the only thing that I felt like it was kind of weak. Otherwise, this house was just on point from beginning to end.
Yeah, I had it at 7, so still pretty good. I remember the house unfortunately kind of falling off a little bit for me towards the end because I had pretty often I was getting inconsistent runs. I was getting a lot of missing holes, missing people. I remember one night in particular, I think I watched through like 2.5 rooms without seeing a single person. And that's not being, an exaggeration. There was just, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the end of the year, the end of the season. I get it. That's a very tough gig. But that falls back on Universal for hiring. You should be able to at least have enough people you can call on to make sure that these kind of runs don't happen. And it felt like a lot of the other houses for last year were kind of almost in reverse order. They were picking up more steam as the year was sort of coming to a conclusion, while this house sort of started out of the gates pretty hot and then slowly trickled down. Not like a lot, clearly. I had it at 7 out of 50. That's huge. But it did kind of taper off a little bit for me. But Jamie, I am surprised because I know how much you loved Hill House. I was surprised that it ended at 22. I thought this would be at least a top 15, maybe top 10 house for you.
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head, Nick, honestly, with what you said. I feel like we had more runs in this house that we literally didn't get one single scare or very rarely saw scare actors. And I feel like that really put a damper on it for me because for the first half of the season, I feel like we were always really, really stoked to go into El Artista. Let me just preface by saying it is a beautiful, stunning house, and I do love the character designs when we got to see them, but it's just unfortunate kind of the scarcity that they had with some of the different actors and different positions and boo holes, and I feel like probably the last good couple weeks and some of our like big final runs we wanted to do for this house, we kind of got shafted a little bit because we missed either half of the scare actors or half the scares that were coming out. But for what it was, I mean, that courtyard scene when you're walking through with the trees and the big fountain in the front and you could see the gargoyles ziplining across from the top and kind of the corner, and just that statue scene that we maybe saw only one or twice, only
Yeah.
one or two times, and we only got that scare so unfrequently. And it was just unfortunate because even though it was one of those things that you knew it was coming, it was just really cool to see. But overall, I did enjoy this house. It just kind of, those last few runs that were supposed to be my most memorable ones just weren't that great.
Yeah, and that's tough just because that is unfortunately the lasting impression.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just kind of where you're at, and that's I didn't rank it as I didn't hold that against it as much as maybe I could have, because it did affect it for me. I think in my end of year rankings, it was still probably top 5, I would assume, but I think it did falter for me in that sense. I think that this is a house that has I think the story is better than the house. And I don't think it's a house that got lost in that story. It was still beautifully told, but it did feel as if it was a very, very in-depth story. And it I don't think it could have displayed it better, but it was just so detailed and deep that we didn't have to get all the details. But I feel like this is something that could be like a Haunting a Hill House. This is something that could be a 8 to 10 episode TV Netflix series or whatever, and it wouldn't drag at all.
Yeah, I can see
Yep.
that. I think that's true. I think that, I mean, of all of the, like, we keep going back to this, but all the Dylan houses, it definitely has. It was the story was well written, but you're like you're saying, it's not as clear as some of the other ones that we've seen. So if you could combine like a really, really clear story with one of his just beautifully well done houses, I think it would have been probably even higher at least for the two of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on to number 6 now. And this is another one that is really not too contentious amongst the three of us. So coming in at number 6 is Puppet Theater Captive Audience. I had this at 8. I had this right in the middle of Seamus and Jamie. Seamus had this at 13, not far off. Jamie had this at 5, not far off. I have extremely fond memories of this house. I loved this house. This was a very big surprise. I know I make note of this on multiple episodes, maybe also because we did our revisiting old spec maps episode not long ago. But I remember when me and Seamus in the early days of Fear and Beer, this was on the map as Mannequin Theater, and we
Right.
were like, "What the fuck is this? This sounds terrifying." And it wasn't necessarily exactly what we had in mind off of that very simple text. However, it absolutely delivered. We've talked multiple times on this episode as well too, the tricks that they're able to pull off in these, in the sprung tents is absolutely insane. When you walk into that full theater with a balcony above you, like I forget the stat they told us, but I believe they said something like this is the biggest, tallest build of height that they've had in a sprung tent, and it shows. And the fact that you were like going, into the underneath, like where the band plays in that little area. I don't know why. I think I referred to as the penguin thing or something like that.
Because of the
Is that
Muppets,
what it's
but yeah,
called?
it's a pit. It's called a pit.
The pit. Yeah, I don't know why I have that term locked in as like the penguin pit or something like that. Like they're a bunch of little Antarctic birds moshing around or something. But yeah, I had this at number 8. So Jamie at number 5, that's high for you. You must like seeing Puppet Theater get the praise it deserves.
I am very, very pleased with where Puppet Theater landed on this ranking. Honestly, we're going over the last 5 years, might have been one of my more favorite original houses that HHN has done in the past time. I remember when this did get announced and when you guys first started and you had told me about this mannequin theater, mannequin room-esque house that was coming along, I was like, ooh, that sounds pretty like creepy and weird. But just like you said, that opening facade, even from the outside facade, just like the puppet theater like sign kind of broken down, and just like that abandoned-esque style I really like, and I usually gravitate towards too. All the character designs were really, really cool. The set pieces were amazing. And I think we did get kind of, maybe not really biased to it, but like we said before, when we do some of these unmasking tours, we kind of get those little details and Easter eggs that we wouldn't really get from the houses from just walking through them.
Yeah, this one was just again, I don't think this one got hurt too much by the COVID restrictions. Them wearing like puppet masks and whatever, like it kind of fit the vibe of it. So I don't think that there's a quote unquote like better version of this house. I think what we got is pretty close to what we would have gotten had there been no restrictions. So that was great. The costuming was amazing. I like the orchestra kills and stuff like that. I think they had like the trombones involved in some of those little dead scenes and stuff like that. I had a real blast with that one. So I'm happy where it landed. It's not far off of kind of where I was. So this is a good house. So Seamus, at number 13 for you, what I guess your final thoughts on Puppet Theater before we move along?
Yeah, I think, I mean, maybe a little low, but I don't think it's low enough that it's egregious. I think this house was really good. Like you said, it's perfect. It's a perfect example of what they've been able to pull off in a tent, and an early sprung tent. Because obviously the new tents are a little different, but those early sprung tents, you never really expected them to be able to pull off what they did, and give you that, like, that 2-story, that effect of the theater, of the actual theater.
Yeah.
It was really well done. I think there were just parts of it that I was maybe not as captivated by, not to use another pun, compared to the other ones.
You weren't
higher.
The audience that was captive.
Yeah, I guess so. But otherwise, it was really well done. I think it was, again, one of the better houses of the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So let's move along now. Top 5. I think this is one of the houses that Seamus is waiting for an explanation for.
Yeah, I need an explanation for this.
And I think I am as well. So number 5 was Seamus's number 2 ranked house. And this might surprise people. This was my number 1 ranked
was
house.
Nick's number 1.
And it ended at 5. I will say all of my top 5 are top 5 in varying orders, but they are all top 5.
That is true. You nailed the top 5.
So, yes. However, my order was incorrect on all of them in the top 5. So, Jamie, why is the Wicked Growth Realm of the Pumpkin at number 5? Because of where you put this at number 19.
Number 19. I feel like 19's not even a bad spot for Wicked Growth, honestly. I mean, I didn't think it was that low. It made the...
We just had
it at 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
It made 1 and 2. You're telling me Wicked Growth was your number 1 house, Nick?
Yes.
That's the craziest thing
Don't
I've
worry,
ever
the next
heard
one,
you
we're
rank
gonna have discussions in the next one too, but
in
we're gonna
my
start
absolute entire life. The only thing you could remember walking through is the scare room in the front where the scarecrow comes out through the little like fake fence thing, the witch with the big pot, and then the pumpkin lore. That's about the three things I can remember from Wicked Growth House. I would say, even though it was a very cool, very, very Halloween-y house, there's just so many more like creative and different things that you could have done with a house of that. Like, I don't know, there was just so much backstory that I feel like they didn't utilize, and then they just had to make Pumpkin Lord so fucking goofy the next year, and it just kind of ruined it for me. And like, I love the like classic Halloween vibes, like I'd mentioned, not trying to repeat myself, but
that's why I'm so surprised.
And you should know too. When have I ever really said and like talked about like, damn, Wicked Growth was like such a good house. Like, I'll never forget that house. I don't think that's ever.
But Halloween.
I know I love vintage Halloween, but I didn't get vintage Halloween from that. It gave kind of that like Halloween vibe, but it didn't. How am I trying to explain this?
Halloween.
It gave the night the Scarecrow walks among us, or whatever that Goosebumps episode is called. I feel like it was
gave us little
more.
boo.
It gave us a little
What are you
boo, I
talking
guess.
about?
But it's like you could say it was Halloween because there was pumpkins and the Pumpkin Lord and this and stuff like that. But I guess when I think of like classic, like vintage Halloween, I think of
We're
something
making
like
her question her rankings.
Trick or treat. As no, I'm not. It's staying at this. I think this was just a fine enough spot for it. Number 1 and number 2 is just crazy. I can't believe. I don't even know where you guys rank some of this other stuff then, since this was your number 1. Oh my gosh, I'm honestly speechless right now. But I mean, it was a good house. I didn't think it was great enough to be ranked at number 1 and number 2. But I guess maybe I need to hear your guys' side of this, because I guess it was much more memorable for you two than it was for me.
I mean, I just loved it. It was classic Halloween. There was scares. The settings were really fun, even going through like the Carver's house and the patches and everything like that. Like the scents were there. That little tunnel of pumpkins was so fun. It's Halloween. That was my love of Halloween really overpowered what I think other people might have assumed my number 1 was. This was just kind of there. It introduced us and created, whether at 31 his legacy took a hit, Pumpkin Lord is still one of the coolest characters created. I think, in my opinion, I think it's just a very fun thing. I'm not using his scare zone appearance and
I am.
activities.
Scare zone.
Yeah, I'm not using that against him, because that wasn't the Pumpkin Lord I know. But it was scary. It was Halloween. It was the witches and goblins and ghouls and all. It had everything in there, and it didn't have that like fantasy goblins. It was like witchy, like henchman-y goblins, which I loved. I don't know. I have extremely fond memories of this one. But Seamus, where are you at? Because this is your number 2. Me and you are right there.
I mean, I'm with you. I think this house just spoke to me. The little boy inside me that remembers Halloween for what it was, and it just spoke. And I mean, there was again so many aspects to it. Obviously, the fence, using heavy use of that bendy material, because you had that, you had the other lattice work at some point, you had the Scarecrow above you as you're kind of coming around, where the in the barn area where that kind of comes over you. You had the bridge. With like you looked out and you had all like the demons on the bridge, like it's just such a good house. It's such a memorable house.
Looking
And
out on the
yeah, I mean,
bridge. What? I'm trying to.
you don't remember the bridge?
You walked across
No.
the
You
bridge,
walked across the covered bridge.
and you could hear the horse trotting. Like it was like the.
It looks like It looks like I'm watching a walkthrough after this episode.
And then you walked through like the farmhouse.
And it's crazy to me too,
with
because we
the
did the
dude and all, like,
unmasking
the
for this
growth growing out of him.
for this house, and I just can't seem to remember it that
Mhm.
much. Huh.
And we got
I
the
mean, you
little
walk
nod
in
to
that
Nathaniel
farmhouse
Crowe.
and they have the thing above, like they have the ceiling above you. It felt like you were in a farmhouse, and that's what they pointed out. They said they had, because they had an over the roof or whatever, they had to put the sprinklers in the system because it actually built like an enclosed space.
I think I do.
I mean, it really was the closest thing we've ever gotten to Scarecrow in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
and I never got to do Scarecrow, so I
Yeah.
think maybe part of it's the fact that like everybody talks so highly of Scarecrow that to finally get to do something at least that's kind of like a pseudo successor to it really raised it up in the rankings for me. But I just like it. I like that theme. I love the theme of that and love the story. So
Yeah. Well, let's not hop off of the Jamie defending her bad takes.
yeah, I guess so, because this
Streak.
one's
It's
even
just
worse.
so funny that Nick says it's bad takes, but we're literally making these lists individually. So to each their own. But go ahead, Nicholas.
Well, this is the one that I had ranked as number 2 and Seamus had ranked as number 1.
It's kinda
So
like,
these
What?
last
That's so
2
funny.
are me and his 1 and 2's split. And
That's funny.
neither are 1 or 2. This is number 4. I think everybody is extremely surprised that from this podcast, this house is not number 1. And I kind of surprised myself by flip-flopping the last house and this house. And that is, of course, Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake.
That's what I thought your number 1 was going to be. For sure.
it's a tough debate. And if, like I said, when we started these lists, if I had to erase my rankings and completely redo this list, this very well could have been number one. Like I'm not gonna. This is a flip flop, coin flip any day of the week. I'll take either one of them. It's not like Jamie had this at an atrocious spot.
No.
This isn't in the
At this,
20s
like,
or
13,
30s
I
or
think.
40s or 50s. You had it at lucky
Yeah.
13. And why don't you explain why? Because I don't really know exactly why. I kind of like Wicked Growth. I don't remember you having the love affair that me and Seamus had.
Mhm.
And maybe it's unfair because we are from New England. It hits us different. Maybe that's an aspect of it.
I almost felt like these almost could have been flipped for her. Like, I felt like this would have been that one that was closer to like 20, 25.
Yeah.
Rather than Wicked Growth. So the fact that this is higher than Wicked Growth is actually surprising to me.
Yeah.
So I do, as Nick was saying with that, I think this kind of goes hand in hand with what I was trying to get at for Wicked Growth. I feel like your guys' idea of like classic Halloween, you guys had more of like growing up, I feel like just up in Mass and stuff like that, like the hay rides and like barnyard setting and like out in the middle of the open and shit like that. And I feel like we didn't really have that as much down here in the big pumpkin patches and stuff like that. So I could see why you guys would gravitate towards that house and with this house as well, obviously. Growing up in Mass, I mean, even if you guys didn't live like right by the Cape or whatever, it still resonated with you. And growing up in Florida, I do love being by the water. I love the beach, any of that kind of stuff. So I really did like the nautical theme of this house. I loved the colorings, the dark blues and grays that they used. They just made it feel like really creepy and haunted, kind of like The Fog is what it reminded me of. It had great character designs. I mean, that first room that you walked into with the like sailor bartender, and then you would have like the tavern man, and then you would have the old school like diving helmets on that would like light up on the face, and I was like, man, those are just really cool designs and just a lot of cool working parts in this. And obviously the violinist that you had when you would walk over the water and you would see her kind of in the distance playing her sweet serenading songs, and just overall a really, really cool house that I thought you guys would have higher. I mean, this was a pretty high ranking even for myself, but I feel like if I would have ranked this lower, you guys would have gotten really mad at me. but I did like Dead Man's, honestly, and it kind of says a lot that I had it ranked over, I mean, a decent amount of space too from Wicked Growth, even though they are two very differing houses. But I feel like I just kind of gravitated more towards this one. I feel like this house was more memorable for me than some of the others, and for being an original house, I feel like it's a pretty good spot on my list, honestly. And just, they've done different nautical stuff in the past, and I feel like they kind of went with that classic ship's tale. I don't really know how to explain what I'm trying to get at here, but I guess with the other kind of like
the fisherman's
tale. Exactly. I was going to say, I guess kind of the other scary underwater things we've seen are weird mutated fish creatures and whatnot. So this was nice. This was different.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It brought me back home. Maybe that's an unfair bias, but I do
No,
think
it's
the consensus amongst the community was that this was an all-timer. Nobody's going to ever tell you this was the scariest house in the world. This was what people referred to, and maybe what kind of semi-kickstarted this renaissance of beautiful houses. I thought we've obviously seen beautiful houses in the past, but I think this took it to a new level and opened the door for other properties to be like, maybe this was an idea we had thought about for years, but because it wasn't like scary enough, they didn't pull the trigger. Now they're maybe looking at ideas like, you know what? As long as there's some scares and some ingenuity to it, we can make it happen because people do want to see this sort of scale to it. There's an effect in here that I really wish we got to see, which they told us on the tour that it just got pulled because it kept getting flooded. But you go into the one, like the interior docks, and there's like a boat in there, and that was supposed to be on water, but they had filled it up and it just began leaking into the next sound stages. So they had to, put the kibosh on that. I would have loved to have seen that. Would it have really made a huge, huge difference? Maybe not, but it would have been another little fun trick that they pulled off. But man, you're talking about scenery and setting. I mean, just that violin scene alone when you're coming up by the shipwreck and then you look up and you see the captain's widow up there playing violin. Like I remember there was one night that must be towards the end of the night. There was nobody behind me. I just stood there. I just watched. I don't care. Like there was just nobody there. It was fine. Probably 1:45 in the morning. Not a soul to be found. And I was just watching with the mist coming in. Like it had that cool feel like you were on the waterfront. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But Seamus, you had this one spot above me. So what were your
yeah, this is the best
memories?
house I've ever been through. It still is the best house I've ever been through. You want to talk about theming? This is how you theme a house. Nothing comes close to it. Like for me, like this is one, and then everything is far behind it. I just don't know how you do I don't know how they make a house better than this. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe people will argue with me and say there's other houses that were better, but this house is just
Not
incredible.
for you.
It's just incredible.
Wasn't better for you.
No, again, it's not just the fact that like, oh, it's based in like a New England style like village on the water. Like it goes beyond that for me. Like, yes, that's part of it, but you walk in and it's in the wintertime and it's snowing and it feels like you're in the wintertime. And you walk into that first like tavern and it feels like a tavern. You walk in, you walk out of the tavern and and the whole time you see the stupid lighthouse going too. That's the other thing. Like people forget the lighthouse. Like you walk in and this is correct me if I'm wrong. This was again a Dylan house, right? Like this dude has his ability to like put you in a place and make you feel like you're in that place. You forget that you're in a friggin' like soundstage, or you forget you're in a tent. Like you literally feel like you're there. And that just shows the genius of his ability and that team's ability to just put you in a location. And that house does it the best. Like there's never been a house better than that. Just really hasn't. Like this house is just the best when it comes to building a theme, building a setting, putting you in that setting and making you feel like you're there. Regardless of how good the scares are or not, I don't care at that point. In a house like this, I don't need scares because I'm just going to be like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's just beautiful. It's just, it just takes me completely out of wherever I am and puts me smack dab in the place they want me to feel like I'm in.
Yeah. And it had so much depth to it. Like you said, there's just so many different things. And I think for me, that stood out too was the variety in the characters, right? Like you had the fisherman, you had the bartender, you had the divers, you had the widow up top, you had just each room was a different setting with different characters, even though we're in the same world. It was just a nice change of pace where sometimes you get a story that's like, not to like poo-poo stuff like, like Grave of Flesh. Okay, well, it's all undead people. Like it's all, whatever. It's in the ground. It's whatever. They're similar style. And again, Dolls, Let's Play Dead. They're all toys. This is
and I get
variety.
that. Yeah, and I think with this house too, like there are houses that feel like a maze. Like they feel like, all right, yes, I'm clearly in a maze with wooden walls, and they've dressed them up to look scary, and you're kind of just going room to room to room to room to room. This house, again, out of like maybe 2 or 3. Where you truly feel like it's not like you're not in a maze. You're like you're literally in a place. Like it felt like you were in a seaside village in New England or wherever, and it just felt like you were there. It didn't feel like you were walking through a series of rooms. And I think those are the best houses where you can take that element and truly transport the person to another place, to another world.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move along now to number 3. Number 3, we are now officially, Jamie, you're off the proverbial hot seat. We are all sort of in agreement with these couple houses. These next 3 houses are in everybody's top 10. So at that point, there's really, you can't be disappointed too much. You can be surprised that stuff kind of landed where it is, but we all remember these houses extremely fondly. What is surprising is that out of these top 3 houses, there's actually 2 IPs. And we're not on one of them yet. Meaning the top 2 are IPs.
Of course they are.
And we're gonna keep this Dylan train rolling because at number 3, is Blood Moon Dark Offerings.
Yeah.
Which, Seamus, you had that at 3. I had it at 4. Jamie had it at 7. We're all right in the ballpark. I am kind of surprised that the last two we just talked about weren't flipped with this one and having Blood Moon at number 5. But I mean, I put it at 4, put it at 3, put it at 7. That's kind of how the average rankings work. It's funny that way, where 2 of them were lower than where it ended up landing. But Seamus, you had this at 3. Why don't you take the 4? I think you're going to say a lot of similar stuff.
I mean, there's not much I have to say
Deadman's.
differently between this and Dead Man's. I think just this is what Dead Man's was, but maybe just not quite as good. It just wasn't where Dead Man's was for me. But I mean, again, I don't want to repeat myself. It's the same idea where it's a house that you walk in and you completely lose the feeling of being in a series of rooms or mazes. You felt like you were in some village in the 1600s, and there was crazy some midsummer type shit going on, and it was just so well done. It was so well put together. Another one of those that the theming, like, this is how you theme a house. Like, if you want to learn from a haunted house, look at this house and you'll learn exactly what to do when it comes to theming a house. So yeah, I mean, not my number 1 house, but in my top 3.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
landed right where you put it. It landed at
Exactly.
the 3 spot. I think a fun aspect to some of these houses, like Blood Moon in particular, I remember scenes where you could see the conga line ahead of you in like different parts of the house or village or whatever, and it fit, because like you would go, like you said, the midsummer, like that whatever they call the poles or whatever, maypole. You could see, like, you're coming out and you're coming into this town center, and then, you know, straight ahead of you is like another set of houses, and you can see the exterior of whatever that building's supposed to be, and you can see people walking in the house. It kind of fit that vibe of like people would be walking. That, you know, we're in a village. Somebody would probably be in their house. And you didn't even walk into that building. You took a right, and then you went into another building, and then 2 rooms later, you end up there where if you look left, you can see out the windows and see the pole outside in the town center or whatever. Like, it was perfect. The story was there. The settings were there. The bell tower with the not a henchman, but the executioner guy, like ringing the bell, staring down, was such a cool little thing. Like, again, he's so far away. He's not there to scare you. He's there to build the environment. And that's exactly what he did. That last big Burning Man structure was just insane. But yeah, I have extremely fond memories for Blood Moon Dark Offerings as well. And it kind of snuck a little bit of that, like, I don't want to say wicked growth, but it felt like a holiday of sorts. You know, it fit in that world. The blood moon is up and it's that time of the year. It's just, it fit that well for me. So Jamie, at number 7, I know this was a house you were going to put pretty high. I am kind of surprised. I did think you'd have this a little bit higher. I know how much you love this house.
I do. I really enjoyed this house, actually. Just thinking about all the different, like, big memorable scenes from it, like you said, the big Burning Man at the end and stuff. And I mean, we forget that the kind of like church pews room that all of like the hooded cloaked figures are all sitting in there, and you walk in there. I feel like it's very rare that we've seen like a full on like cult style house, I guess, esque, as you could say, for Horror Nights, and I feel like they really went all in on that idea. Like you were saying, I just love that open setting facade. It's very rare when you're walking through a house and you could see the people ahead of you and behind you when you're walking through different parts of it. It doesn't make you feel like as you're very confined. It makes you feel like you're in more of a big experience versus just walking in a haunted house at a soundstage, you know? And obviously you'd mentioned the executioner and the bell tower, just a cool addition. The maypole, the different like gross little intestines hanging off of it, just the little tiny details. And then when you're walking from that room into like the blacksmith's room, you got the big coal oven blacksmith thing right there, and the guy working and all the different body parts hanging around and stuff. Just so many really cool detailed things. We got a lot of cool repetitive like audios, I guess, that we've seen in other houses now. They killed Mama and Papa. And for this being that first house that when you first walk in, it was kind of one of the ones that had lower wait times throughout the season, which I mean was great for us and how
Yeah.
much we liked
Which
it.
is
But
wild.
I feel like it didn't
Yeah.
really reflect how good of a house it just really was. And I feel like it might still go under the radar for some, but I'm glad this made it up to such a high spot because it should be reveled in, because it's honestly it's a great house. This is one of those houses that I was like, man, I would just kill to do Blood Moon again. Mhm.
Yeah. And it goes to the authenticity of it too. I think on the tour they had said that, like, maybe not the whole thing. Obviously that's kind of impossible, but some of those rooms were like built using the tools of that time. Like they were
I remember
using
that.
like
Like, all the
actual like
candles
Uh-huh.
were handmade.
mallet stuff, like, and the candles were all hand melted
Yeah.
and made. You had the tools, like the authentic tools there in the environment as well. Like they took those unnecessary steps, and you might not think of those as the reasons why you love the house, but those are the reasons why you love
Mhm.
the house. That's why you like how it looked. It looked that way because of those
Right.
unnecessary steps
Well, it
they
feeds into the
Mhm.
theme. Like it
Yeah.
lends itself to the theme.
took. Yeah, so I adored that house as well. Well, let's get to number 2.
Our top 2.
Top 2. And I think the top 2 is a little telling that maybe we do like scares on this podcast. As much as we love the stories, you do want to get some scares in there as well. Now, if you are tracking every single house, if you have a little marker at home and you've checked off 48 houses and you're about to check off your 49th, you'll be able to know what our number 1 is. But I'm assuming after about 6 hours of content and three episodes later, you probably aren't tracking it that well. So number 2, Jamie, I'll let you say this one because this was actually your number 1 house.
Oh,
Number
you guys
one
did it to me. You
house.
couldn't let him fucking have it, huh? Really couldn't let him have it as number 1.
Compared to number 1? No way.
Oh, and I did forget to mention, Blood Moon is actually tied with this house, and it won
Oh.
the tiebreaker because Jamie
Because
had
Jamie
it at
had
number
this one
1.
at 1.
Well, I'm the worst, and
So it was tied with Blood Moon.
I'm the worst,
technically.
and my phone died, so I didn't triple check my list. But I'm pretty sure, folks, our number 2 house is gonna be Terrifier.
You are
I'm
correct. Yep.
I'm correct. Well, let me tell you, the cat's out of the bag, guys. Out of the last 5 years, Terrifier's been my number 1 house, even though it made it to number 2, which I'm pretty ecstatic about, honestly. I didn't.
one
I
spot
know.
off,
I was
that's
just gonna
fine.
say I really
Yeah.
didn't think that these two would rank it as high as I did, but I'm glad to see that they still liked it as well. Okay. I want to preface by saying I'll go quick with this one because I've talked plenty enough about this house since it was recent and we all know how much I love it. This, even though it was an IP, the way that they were able to make an IP feel like an original house, but still using Art the Clown and these familiar characters that we see in the films and these scenes was just so fantastic to see. That opening facade where you walk into the big Terrifier funhouse, the literal funhouse rooms that you walk through with the mirrors and the different Art the Clowns, all those different bright, fun, like whimsical colors that we want to see sometimes in houses, but you still get the scares and the blood and the gore, and it's just, I guess I could be biased just because I do like the Terrifier franchise and I enjoy Art the Clown. But for what it was, I feel like even for those who aren't familiar with the Terrifier films and aren't familiar with Art the Clown, if they were to go to Halloween Horror Nights and do this house, they're going to be like, oh my God, that house was absolutely ridiculous, but I loved it. I mean, we got the split path at the end,
was.
even though it didn't have the big downpour of waterfalls that we expected to have, that everyone was thinking was going to be this whole big thing. I still thought it was plenty enough. I thought it was fun. I will admit that that hallway was a little bit lacking. Honestly, both of the kind of exits were a little bit lacking depending on which one you did.
Yeah.
But it was just that little scurry that you had trying to get out of it, because if you did take a nice even pace, the top of your head would be soaked pretty much in the little 30-minute second run of that hallway. But overall, I feel like every single scare actor in this house from all the casts did such an amazing job. You could tell they really enjoyed their roles that they had and how much fun that they had in this house. Just the creative direction that the team went with it was just so much fun, kind of Art's fun house of chaos, I guess, and it really worked for his character and what he is, and we still got to see those big notable scenes that we enjoy from the Terrifier movies. I mean, just the Christmas room, when you're walking into the Christmas room and all those lights and stuff, and you got Santa popping out at you,
you have
and
a
you got
seizure.
well, we don't want that to happen, obviously. Luckily, it wasn't blinking Christmas lights; it was just the the LEDs walking through. But man, I just love mixing the fun with the horror when it actually works, because I feel like since Terrifier already has those comedic aspects to it, it's going to blend well in the house, and people are going to enjoy it regardless. I mean, compared to some of the other houses last year, this was up there with being some of the highest wait times for the whole season.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, like I said, I've talked about Terrifier enough, so I think we all have. But
Yeah, we all have. I think this one will be a little bit quicker.
Mhm.
The aspect that you mentioned that I agree with, and I think is what tremendously helped this house, was the fact that even though it was an IP and we kind of got a best of, they framed it in a sense of sort of an original kind of deal. Like, we're going into Art's Funhouse. Like, anything can happen. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to walk through 3 scenes of Terrifier 1, and then we're going to go through 3 scenes of Terrifier 2, and then we're going to finish with a couple scenes from Terrifier 3. It wasn't this kind of just book report boring thing. It took a lot of creative swings. The gore was there, the comedy was there, the scares were there. It was just a fun time. Jamie mentioned the split path at the end, although they weren't like completely as advertised. There wasn't, like, I was expecting more characters maybe in those areas. But that entrance to the split was just so open and wide, and you have Art up top, and it's just like, wow, this is
It was so
huge.
fun.
That's why they save that soundstage specifically for these like giant houses. They don't roll that soundstage out all too often, and thankfully when they do, it's utilized properly. But yeah, I mean, I had it at 5. Seamus, you had this at 8, so top 8 or a top 10, but yeah, technically top 8 as well. Are you surprised that it did get all the way up here? You knew?
I'm a little
you knew
surprised it was going to be. I mean, I knew it was going to be high, just
Yeah.
because I knew Jamie loved it, and I knew you had a big fondness for it, and I liked it too. I mean, obviously, but I have a top 8, or a top
Yeah.
10, so obviously there's something to be said about it. No, it was fun. I'm more of the originals guy. I prefer the originals. That's why my top 5 are all. Actually, I shouldn't say all originals. One of them is an IP, but yeah, it was fun. And I know when to eat my humble pie. I was not sure this was going to work. I didn't think they were going to actually be able to pull this off, and they did. They did a really, really good job. I think for me, the only reason that it didn't quite rank even higher is I feel like the ending was a little lackluster. I think they nailed it so well in the beginning. All the scenes leading up to that final split, I just felt like were great. And then you got to that point and it was like a big open room and you saw Art up in the second, this up above, but like there really wasn't anything going on. I feel like if you were going to do the whole, like, let's get soaked, like you were really going to kind of go out of your way to like make it look like people are just getting slaughtered and you're just getting covered in their gore. And it really was just kind of like a dark hallway and you got dripped on. So like, to me, that felt like it was almost along the lines of Monstrous, where it kind of felt like it was super like the way it just ended, but everything else was just so good that like it made up for it completely. You don't even think about it really because of how good the house was overall. You walk into the bathroom, it just smells like shit, or like every room, it was just nasty gore, and it's exactly what you needed to do. They didn't hold back, so I give them credit for that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get to number 1. Let's wrap up this list. Let's wrap up these 50 houses that we've gone through the last 5 years.
Well-deserved number 1, might I add.
I think so. And it's funny, nobody ranked this
Nobody had
number
it at 1.
It ended up at 1, and no one ranked it at 1. It's just wild how this thing, the dominoes fall.
Well, it was the only house that we all had a top 5. That's why.
We all had this at 5. Seamus had it at 5.
Mm-hmm.
I had it at 3. Jamie had it at 2, which actually gave it a 4-point lead between number 1 and number 2, which is it's pretty good gap because everything else has been pretty neck and neck. This one seemingly just edged everything out. And that is from HHN30-34. That is Insidious the Further. Can't say we don't like the scares. Clearly, the scares are something we look for because this was I think this is a pretty big consensus that this was a very scary house. This did scares better than we've seen in a lot of recent houses, at least. So, Jamie, just because you had it the highest, I guess you should kickstart us off.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of already got what I was getting at. I feel like this is definitely one of the scarier, even though I had Terrifier ranked over this, I feel like in scary rankings, I feel like this outranks it. I feel like this is one of the scariest houses we've done in 5 years, obviously, if it made it to number one. But just the way that they blended the scenes from the Insidious franchise and all the different films and everything, but still made the scares like so deep and like to your core. Just that obviously the curtain room. And let me just say, I love to be the biggest hater when people hype things up, but I gotta agree, like this was scary. There was points when, even when I knew they would be coming from the curtains, but I just remember the first couple runs we did through this house, that hallway, I would just literally like almost crouch to the floor. Like they got me so good with some of these scares and just popping out from every corner and just seeing that lipstick demon's bush popping out was the real scare factor. It was the real scare factor of it all.
That's why it got number one. Is the bush.
But I mean, just wow, what a great house. And I mean, obviously Insidious is a scary franchise, but I don't think we really anticipated it being that scary. No,
I agree. I had, not that I had no idea, but like I definitely didn't anticipate this to be like, oh my God, the scariest thing I've ever done. Like this is up there. It's pretty damn close, if not the best.
It was scary, and then combine that with the fact of how long it was.
And it was
just
long.
one of those houses that
was.
felt like it just never ended. You're just like, oh my God, is this going to end? Is this ever going to end?
That's a great point too, Seamus.
But yeah, I think this is like easily the scariest house of the last 5 years. And for a property that I did not expect a lot from, not going to lie to you. Again, another one of those properties where I can't say that I'm a massive Insidious fan. I enjoy the movies for what they are, but the fact that they managed to make this the house is just really, really good. It was a really good house.
Yeah, I mean, everyone obviously points to the lipstick demon room. Obviously, that's like the big scary moments. But like for me, it was also the bride in black.
Yeah,
the lurching over, and sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. Kind of like we talked about the Exorcist Believer. The way that they crafted these scares with multiple boob holes, you didn't know where they were going to.
And the
come.
drop doors too.
The drop doors were huge. And that's the thing that it's tough because I say I want them to replicate this in terms of scaring technique. You can't necessarily overdo it because that's what they tried with Jason, right? They gave him like, well, what's better than 3 boo holes? How about 5? It's like, okay, well now it's like now more often than not you're missing it. You kind of overshot it a little bit, but when they have like that 3 area spot where like they could get you twice if they wanted to. Jason didn't really get you twice. There's too many options there. But with Insidious, it let the door open for continuous scares.
And I think that's the difference with the Insidious house from the Jason house, that they tried to recreate it. I feel like with that hall, with the Insidious scares and the lipstick demon, they spaced it out. Like you said, they didn't have every single boo hole filled with one like as they did with Jason. And I feel like the height difference kind of made a thing too. It felt like in the Insidious house, that room or that hallway and curtains itself was kind of a little bit elevated, and they wouldn't be exposed kind of full body how Jason would be kind of like all the way upper half kind of like coming out at you, so you already saw it coming. It would kind of like, sometimes it would be even scarier when they would just like pop their head out a little bit from the curtain, then just like pop back in really quick, and I was like, that's even scarier too. But I feel like the kind of like height difference kind of benefited it a little bit in that house.
It also wasn't a straight hallway either.
And it kind of
that's the other thing.
That's,
it wasn't just like one long path. It was like it winded
and that's true too.
Kind of threw you off a little bit. So
yeah, it definitely discombobulated you a lot. But this house was
going into his workshop,
a monster.
So cool. Like,
yeah, the workshop where like he would pop out through the front of the like little elevator, where you would see the character up top. Like it was probably a screen image, I think, but like it would kind of come down and it would like ding and then the guy would come out from there. It's like it looked like he was coming from his, observer desk
Really
or whatever
cool.
the hell that little
Yeah.
area is called. But even still, with the the key face demon, those rooms were
Yeah.
really good. With the what was the like the gross man guy that was like sucking on the fake statue or whatever.
Oh God, I can't think of his name. It's gonna kill me, but I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, the whatever his name, the sickly
Mhm.
old man. I don't know. But that was a really cool kind of scary, again, another like, is he gonna get me or is he not? Kind of like the Exorcist believer, where it was like sometimes he'll look over and lunge at you, or sometimes he'll just be sucking face and loving it.
The man who can't breathe.
And then even
There
the
we go.
intro though, like before you went into the further, like starting in the house and hearing Lin Shaye's voiceover, like let my voice be your guide, and it
Mhm.
set that atmosphere. It was just really cool because we think of all these like those scary moments, but you almost forget you start in a pretty grounded world.
Yeah.
You start in the house and you start with that scare, the lady on the porch, and you walk in and she's on your left now.
He's got
and
your baby.
he's got your baby. Like it's just you kind of slowly wither away and go into the further deeper and deeper until that finale scene where they're all there.
Right.
That's one of the bigger, triple, double, quadruple scares as well, because you can get all four of them, you get two of them, you get one of them. It all kind of works the same. And with that inconsistency, not being in a bad way, you don't know if you're always going to get one, but you don't know if you're going to get two or three or four. Like it could be a big batch of them. So I think that's what kind of this house just kept you on your toes.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why I think this is I think it's an appropriate number one.
Yeah.
It is very interesting that we had those two IPs at the top, though, being very original lovers.
Worked out perfect for me.
So, yeah, to Jamie's,
Yeah,
to
Jamie's
Jamie's like
1 and
so
2 got to be 1 and 2.
Let's go through our 16 through 1, and then I do have some other small stats. I didn't dive too crazy into it, but I can kind of go through some stuff, and I have a couple questions that I'm curious if maybe Jamie will know the answer.
All right.
Seamus might, because he might have looked at the
Because
spreadsheet
we're getting a little
already,
antsy
but,
around here.
yeah. But number 16, we started this episode. Number 16 was Five Nights at Freddy's. 15 was Dolls Let's Play Dead. 14 was The Darkest Deal. 13 was The Exorcist Believer. 12 was Slaughter Cinema 2. 11, Major Sweets Candy Factory. Number 10, The Haunting of Hill House. Number 9, Case Files Unearthed Legendary Truth. Number 8, Universal Monsters Unmasked. Number 7, El Artista, A Spanish Haunting. Number 6, Puppet Theater, Captive Audience. Number 5, The Wicked Growth, Realm of the Pumpkin. Number 4, Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake. Number 3, Blood Moon, Dark Offerings. Number 2, Terrifier. And number 1, Insidious the Further. Now, this one is a little bit easier. I did rank originals versus IPs to see like our percentages. And it was actually a lot closer than I thought. I think the rankings got definitely boosted because of those IPs at the top. We did still favor the originals. The originals averaged at a 23.53 ranking, whereas the IPs averaged 27.5. Now, if we had Insidious and Terrifier knocked down 3 spots or so, I think that gap would have been probably more of a 20-30 split, which I think is a little bit more appropriate, but that's where that is. Now, I did average the years as well, 30, 31, 32, whatever. Jamie or Seamus, did you look at these yet?
I'm looking at them right now. I don't
Okay,
really...
all right. So Jamie, what year, if you had to guess, what do you think was our highest average ranking year between all of them, 1 through 50?
For me, I definitely think it might have been 31 or 32, but I think collectively, I think it was 31.
Actually, 31 was our least.
Really?
It's
And you guys
so
had
weird.
Wicked Growth at number
I'm
1
surprised.
and number whatever and all these high rankings?
I know. So I'll go through. So our number 1 ranked year was actually HHN30.
Okay, yeah, that was probably because of me.
It averaged at 19 point. It averaged right at 19. I think what helped that is I don't think we mentioned HHN30 at all on the first episode.
Yeah.
So the lowest it really was kind of in that 30s range. That obviously helped it a lot. maybe recency bias, but our second favorite year was last year, 34. The average ranking of 24.
All right.
Again, that's a pretty big gap though. 19 and
Yeah.
24.
Yeah.
We must have loved 30. I don't know. Maybe it's just the distance
Distance
whatever,
makes
the heart
grow
grow
fonder or whatever. Yeah, that thing. Our third ranked year was actually HHN32 with a 24.8 average ranking. HHN33 is at number 4 with a 28.8 average. And HHN31 was at 30.9 in average ranking, which I do have to look and see because I think a lot of that was, it bottomed out. I mean, what really killed it was Hellblock and Spirits being at number 50 and 48 respectively.
Yeah, I mean, Dead
That's
Man's
kind of
was
tough to come back.
Was like the key, the clear winner that year by far.
Yeah. There was a big drop off.
Big
But
gap.
those were all the stats I pulled. I was gonna go crazy with it, and now that we're sitting at 2 hours and 10 minutes, I'm glad I didn't. I was thinking of ranking locations.
Oh my God,
Oh
Nick.
God.
But then I realized I didn't want to track like what was in soundstage,
So much
whatever.
work.
And that's so unnecessarily stupid. This was already hard enough as is. But wow, we did it. What a fucking March Madness this
Woo,
was.
We got it.
This is, geez. So I'm going to list 1 through 5. No,
I
I'm
was just
kidding.
gonna
I'm not
say,
gonna
are
do
we about
that.
to go
So if
through-
you want our listings, they will be on our socials at some point shortly, I'm sure. But thank you for listening along. Thank you for bearing with us. And again, like I started this episode, you're welcome for all the announcements and stuff and the drops that we got because we have our work cut out for us next week. We have a lot to tackle. We will be going into all these stuff that is HHN 35 official. We're talking tickets, we're talking houses, we're talking icons. Well, not houses, but house.
You never know.
Yeah,
We're
we know,
talking
right?
I mean, you never know.
We get a
Maybe now
second
that we
house
planned
between
it,
now
we're
and
going to
then.
get more. So every time we plan, shame on us for being prepared. Oh, and I did want to note, not that it really mattered too much, but for the originals and IPs, I just completely omitted the Monsters houses. I didn't count them as one or the other. Just because
Fair.
I think that was appropriate
Mhm.
to do because they're truly hybrids, or IP properties with completely original takes. You could fight the battle and say they're one or the other, and I'd agree with both sides at that point. So.
I don't desire to fight that battle, so it
No,
doesn't matter to
no.
me.
Could not care less. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. We're very deep into this episode, very deep into this series. I don't think anything else needs to be said. So until next time, this is Nick.
This Seamus.
This is Art the Clown.
Behance.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whatever streaming platform you are listening to us on. You can find us on all of our socials at Fear and Beer Pod.